yes. You might like, you might like that song, sure, but you might know that song from The Walking Dead. That's Clutch and The Regulator. Good morning, everybody. It's me and Jimmy, and we're live on a Friday. My God.
I know. We're idiots.
We're idiots. I like doing radio, though. I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, I know.
I kind of enjoy being here.
Well, me too.
And it's a big day for radio with this fucking story in Charleston, South Carolina. So what should we do? Should we give everyone a gun in America, or should we take all the guns away? Because that's the argument.
I don't know. How about we just fucking finally address, like Travis said before the show, he made a great point.
Yeah.
It's mental illness.
Yeah.
Guns are a problem. And racism is a problem.
Yes.
Mental illness is the fucking problem. And people, that's what the story should be. Another nut fucking does what we know that these people do.
Yeah, we can't talk about mental illness in this country for the most part. They leave it alone on the news.
Yeah. Well, it's not sexy to talk about it.
They're leaving it alone with the Rachel Dolezal thing for the most part. Yeah. Some people are touching on it finally. And with this kid, it's all about mental illness. Look at his face. He's creepy.
Yeah, he's a creep.
He's fucking creepy. He's scary. And who gets a haircut like that unless you're crazy?
It's fucking awful. It's an awful hairdo. He looks like me in high school.
Right, exactly.
That's what I looked like in high school. I had school shooter potential. I just didn't have the courage to do it or the means.
Wait, you really did have this haircut?
Yes, I did.
That famous picture of you with the glasses.
Yeah.
When you were about, what, 16?
It was my sophomore picture.
So 16 years old-ish? Yeah, because I thought this kid was a lot younger because of the haircut. But he's a 21-year-old kid.
Yeah, he's a real, and his father's a real douche. Because he was like, I'm sorry, sir, but you fucking popped a dud out of your bag. Sorry. You and your wife got together and you created a dud.
Right.
But look, they can't stop showing. I mean, I'm bored saying this stuff. I don't even want to go through this again. Every time it happens, they do the same thing. They know they're doing it. They don't care they're doing it. That's the end.
They're making the kid a rock star.
Yeah.
Period.
They do it on purpose.
And then you got a lot of other lonely kids out there with some kind of mental illness, and they see this shit on TV like, wow, I could be a big fucking deal. I know that affects kids.
Yeah.
And potential, shooters. They see the attention you get on the news. CNN, just before the show, they're like, and for his 21st birthday, he was given a gun. And they were basically saying that's a really bad idea. And, I'm not a huge fan of guns in general, but I do believe that a lot of parents will give their kids a gun when they turn 21 and they're not going into a church and killing people.
My parents gave me a gun when I was 21, but they gave me that and a mirror in the same box.
The point is that you should, as a parent, realize if your kid could handle a gun before you purchase the gun for your kid. Yeah. That's the real issue here.
Was this dud on pills or medication?
I'm hearing that he was on some kind of pill that's does anyone know which pill it was? Because I was trying to tell the guys before the show. Supposedly it was on something that is a pretty heavy-duty thing.
Something that a dud would take.
Yeah. A dud with mental illness.
That's what he is. He's a dud. And again, not all people with mental illness. I'm sick of your fucking emails whenever I talk about this. I'm not talking about you. That's your narcissism. I talk about mental illness. Like, I don't do stuff like that. I know.
Right? I don't know you personally.
Everyone in this room has some mental illness. Believe me. You think I don't know I'm not fucked up?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about these people that just won't take their medication. That they're these little lonely. And you know why they're lonely? Because nobody likes them. Mm-hmm. There's a reason nobody likes them.
Right. I was just going to throw in this, too. The roommate knew? What's that about?
Did he know for sure?
Supposedly the roommate knew that this kid was planning something for 6 months.
Well, yeah, he said.
And why didn't this kid come forward? Or maybe he did and no one wanted to pay attention to him.
Because they said, you don't take him seriously because he had, a real dry sense of humor. Yeah. And he was talking last week, I'm going to, kill a bunch of people next week.
Yeah, on Wednesday or something.
Yeah, and they were like, we don't know, he's got a really dry, weird sense of humor, so we didn't think anything of it. Yeah, dry.
Yeah.
I mean, guns are a big issue in this country, but so is mental illness.
Here's another big issue.
And so is bad parenting, by the way. You got to know, like Jimmy said, when you have a dud among you.
Yeah.
You could treat him like a superstar in your house, but you got to realize that he may be a problem for society, and maybe you shouldn't be giving him a gun.
And once he's convicted, like once he actually is convicted, they'll put him in. They shouldn't put him in general population.
Right.
Let the black inmates fucking get at him.
Right.
I mean, the supremacists would try to probably protect him, but to walk into a church and that's just what do you say? The guy's a fucking. He should just be murdered, and he's mentally ill. We
should just be done with him.
Yeah.
And I know they have to, but it's so embarrassing to see him in a bulletproof vest as they're carting him around from this location to that location. It's embarrassing when they do that. Can't they put a fucking shirt over the bulletproof vest at least? Because it's sort of insulting.
Yeah.
I know they have to do that, but don't make it so obvious.
Hate killers, chilling words. Oh, God.
Facebook posts. It's the same fucking story over and over again.
And I know, I listen, if you have ears, you're bored of hearing us say this. And I don't blame you. I'm bored of saying it. I really don't like saying this. It's fucking redundant and annoying. But it's like, it happens every time. And the news is going to have the same fucking discussion every time.
Absolutely. And then they'll bring video games into it. But those violent video games, I made this point years ago, they're being played in every fucking country in the world, and these other countries don't have the same, gun violence we do. So you can't just point to violent video games. The numbers don't add up when you really study the stats around the world as far as people playing violent video games.
I just wish they would show the victims more. Like, I have no problem with talking. Like, I don't. You got to mention his name. He's a part of the story. Of course, look, he did it. You didn't say that guy that shot Kennedy. Mentioning the guy's name can be a part of the story, but it's the way they do it. Like, now they'll get into why he did it, and his motives aren't important. He's a mentally ill dud, and that's why he did it.
He did it because he's crazy.
Yeah. He's just a dud.
That's the number one reason why he did it. He's crazy.
Yeah.
He's also, a bit racist. Certainly, of course. But he's a loon. He's a loon first. This guy knows what pill he was on.
Oh, good.
Supposedly it was some...
Say Alice. Oh, no.
Supposedly it was heavy-duty shit. Bob in North Carolina. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, man.
Hey.
Appreciate taking the call.
Oh, anytime, Bob. We're happy to have you.
Thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate it. The guy was on Suboxone. It's a combination drug that treats opioid dependence.
Wait, that's what... go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry, you go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll tell you why I jumped in, but go ahead. Continue. I apologize.
That's okay. So it's a combination of two drugs, treats opioid dependence, the sublingual drug, and the other component of the drug is called naloxone. So what happens is if they end up taking too much, the drug renders itself ineffective. And so they don't get as much high as they would normally if they were taking other opioids, typically heroin. And so that was the drug that he was taking, at least according to the newspaper.
So why was he on that?
Well, probably because he had another dependence on something else, likely some other opioid drug. Was he on heroin? I mean, I don't know.
Oh, right. He was arrested for drug possession. That's right.
It's the same stuff that X-Pac was taking.
That's why I jumped in there. Jimmy caught it, too. X-Pac was on that exact same thing, and he didn't go into a church and kill 9 black people, so...
Right.
All right, man.
Look, inside a hate crime. Yeah. New this morning, inside a hate crime. Yep. How about inside mental illness?
Yeah. Because there's Travis again. Right? I'm quoting Travis like he's this fucking demigod. But Travis said, "Why don't you say it on the mic, Travis? So I don't have to keep quoting you, and you be a part of the show."
I don't know what you're gonna say.
About
how quoting my brilliance.
There's a lot of you said guns are bad and you broke down crying. No, you didn't say that.
It's true.
You said about fucking how there's a lot of racists.
There's tens of thousands of racists in this country, and a lot of them have guns, and this doesn't happen. Mental illness is the big thing. And let's also point out that last week this kid said that he was going to go to a community college and kill people. So like racism, not to downplay the racism factor here, but he was going to do it regardless of if it was a black church or a random community college. So, like, racism isn't to blame here.
And then he tells people, he tells them, you're raping our women. He shot like 6 women and 3 men. Like he shot 6 ladies in a church.
Well, but they're black ladies.
But it's like, how are they taking over the country? One of them was 87.
No, I say, but they were black ladies because I'm talking about what he's thinking in his mind.
Yeah,
he doesn't respect black people in general.
Just fuck. How do you sit there with people for an hour? Like the random.
This is insane.
That's exactly it. Because people that walk in and just start blasting, that's crazy enough. But to sit there and humanize people for an hour, like to hear this guy talking about God or whatever the reverend's talking about. Like they show that video,
Yes.
which Don Lemon talked over the whole thing, and they fucking
like
warned. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what do you do for a living again? and then fucking Wolf Blitzer goes, oh Don, I love how news people tell each other to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
He goes, Don, we're going to
Make you shut the fuck up.
we're gonna have you stand by. Stand by means shut your fucking face. When the news people go stand by, that's polite for shut up. There's a tape.
Right.
I turned it off after that. I watched probably 20 minutes of coverage, and I'm like, I can't do this. It's disgusting.
When a big story hits, I love flipping around. It's just it's so fascinating to me. What about the black lady, man, with Don Lemon, calling him an Uncle Tom?
Why'd you call him Uncle Tom?
Did you see this?
I didn't. I heard about it.
Well, she was calling him an Uncle Tom, and is she the same lady that came back later and was calling
Yeah, I think she said the same thing about Obama.
the White Devil or something?
Yeah.
And Obama's also an Uncle Tom.
And then they cut to commercial.
And these two just sat there like scared little kids and wouldn't confront her. It's a moment. It's live TV. Why you sit there and not do anything about that?
Hey, by the way, is Rolling Stone going to put this guy on the cover?
All right,
right.
probably.
Why not? I mean, if the Boston Bomber
Probably.
can be put on the cover, why not? This kid's good looking. You know, there's a couple of really good shots of him. Why not? Why not put him on the cover?
Man, if you see anybody with a haircut like that, though, you know, run.
Yeah, exactly.
Who the fuck wears their hair like that?
Yeah, unless you're starring in Clockwork Orange.
Right.
You're a mental case.
That's someone that was probably cutting his own hair.
He is.
No one would give that haircut to you. Your mom used to when you were very little.
Yeah.
Because she was trying to save a few bucks. And then the mentally ill when they cut their own hair. Period.
Hopefully he'll be killed in jail. That's all you can hope. If he's convicted, you hope he's killed in jail.
Well, why didn't the little pussy kill himself? Because supposedly I read that too, that his plan was he was going to, kill a whole bunch of people and then take his own life.
Because it's hard to do. You think you're going to do it, but I'm telling you, believe me, it's hard to do.
He said he wanted to start a civil war. He said he was going to do something like that and then kill himself. He should have done us all a favor and killed himself.
Manson did the same thing. Manson thought there was going to be a civil war, and he was going to be in charge of the blacks. Like, that's what he thought. The blacks were going to win. They were going to need a leader, and it was going to be him. You're never going to start a civil war. No. That's what he was trying to do, start some kind of a race riot.
Right.
I think he wanted the blacks blamed or something like that for what they did. So silly.
John Mullins, who went to high school with this kid. I don't think we've mentioned his name yet. Not that, wow,
matter.
us not mentioning his name. Told the Daily Beast that he remembers him as being kind of wild. He used drugs heavily a lot. It was obviously harder than marijuana. He was like a pill popper from what I understand, like Xanax and stuff like that. So that's why he was on that other drug, trying to maybe get off that shit. Oh, God, why are we doing this again? It's so ridiculous.
I just don't like that anything took the news off Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah, she's bombed.
Another weird racial case.
Yeah.
On the other end, the extreme. This is just another weird racial case.
Yeah. It's the week of mental illness.
We have, yeah, that's true. They are both fucking.
They're both mentally ill.
Yeah, she's a kook too.
I mean, she's not, shooting up churches, but she's nuts in her own right.
We have really weird. Obviously everybody knows it, but race in this country is fucking bizarre. It's just such a weird relationship we have, black people and white people. Mm-hmm. It's just a very weird relationship. It's uncomfortable. It's nobody talks about it openly. I mean, we do. We were allowed to on the radio because who cares here?
Right.
But like people at work, the press, people at the job, none of them will talk about it. Everyone's scared to say the wrong thing,
and everyone uses this to their advantage. I saw a lot of tweets where they're doing the split screen of this kid being arrested, and he has his bulletproof vest on, and then on the other side, this tweet pretty much went viral. They show the girl in the bikini being wrestled to the ground, like those two are equal.
Oh, how the police treat.
But we don't know how they treated this kid when they finally arrested him. Is there video of him actually being arrested?
Well, let me be honest. If they caught this kid running like that, if they'd caught this kid outside the car, they would have.
Trust me, it wouldn't have been pretty.
Here's what the bulletproof vest is for too. That's also. Because they're liable for him, you're responsible for him. That's why they stop you from killing yourself in jail. It's because they give a fuck about you, because they don't. It's because if you kill yourself, the state is somehow responsible for you, and they're open to lawsuits.
Yes.
This guy has not been proven guilty, so if he's shot, and plus it puts the other officers in danger. I think it's a deterrent to somebody taking a shot at him because he has a vest on.
And that's probably why they don't put the T-shirt over it, obviously.
Yeah, they want you to see that he's protected, he's harder to kill.
Yeah, so you're not going to, try anything. Yeah, that's a great point.
Plus the other cop, you don't want the cops being like that one guy who actually I emailed, that Jordy, I think his name is, who I would become friendly with, the kid whose dad shot that fucking animal that molested him. That guy did it right. He dropped the gun, he surrendered, but he shot between two cops. I mean, imagine if that's from a distance of wherever, you're putting the cops in danger.
Yeah, I get it. I absolutely get it. This guy, Sonny in Texas, go ahead. Now I got you. Sonny, go ahead.
Sammy from Texas. Hey, Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
I think the reason why they put that Boston bomber on the cover of the magazine was to show what a terrorist could look like. Not that they were trying to glorify the guy. You hear crimes all the time, women getting raped, and they say, oh, the guy seemed like the nicest, sweetest guy. It's just to show people that this is what criminals can look like.
Sonny, we saw that kid's picture everywhere. We were well aware what a terrorist could look like. They absolutely were glorifying it.
Yeah, I know why
he was a heartthrob.
They felt like he had sort of a Jim Morrison thing to him.
Yeah, they didn't put Timothy McVeigh on the cover.
Right, and they won't put this guy on the cover.
Because of his goofy haircut.
Yeah, show me what a racist murderer can look like. Put this guy on the cover. Rolling Stone should put this
Sandy Hook guy on the cover.
Yeah, why not put him on the cover? Another with the exact same hairdo, by the way. Another one with the same fucking haircut.
And the distant eyes.
Yeah, those just dead, worthless. I should have been fucking smothered at fucking birth eyes. These people really should have been drowned.
Oh, look at those eyes.
In tubs when they were a kid. Look at them.
Look at that.
Nothing to contribute.
Fuck.
Wacko haircut. A creepy that's kind of like a Mick Jagger 1964 do.
We should start profiling against people with this haircut.
We really should.
Well, at least look at the eyes. The eyes absolutely give it away, don't they?
Yeah.
When you walk around Manhattan, you see those eyes. You're not having a conversation with those type of people.
We're looking at the picture of what was it? The
Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook killer. Who took that picture and went, "Good, we got it."
The one that looks like an alien?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how do you look at that and go, all right, what were the other ones like where that's the best photo? Like, oh, this is the one you should
use this one.
Yeah, both of these guys. But again, we don't use the death penalty as much as we should here. See, there is something to be said for the way ISIS handles people they don't like. As much as ISIS are barbarians and they kill innocent people like journalists, and boy, if they don't like you, they take care of business fast.
Put you in a cage and set you on fire.
They burn you alive, which was unjustified, and they also behead you. Like these are people that should probably have that done to them.
Imagine we start a policy tomorrow and we just start beheading you if you do this.
Well, we're just sending these guys over there and letting ISIS do it because we don't have the courage to.
Yeah, send them to Syria. Let's say hi to Brian in Detroit. Brian.
I was just curious what your guys' opinion would be if it were a black man that killed 9 people. Would the media be as outraged?
They would talk about the murder and the senselessness of it, but no, they wouldn't. They would be outraged, but they wouldn't focus as much. When Colin Ferguson shot those people, that was a big story.
That was a huge story.
Anytime you shoot 9 people in one area, it's a huge story.
It would be a huge story, sir.
They would downplay the racial angle of it because mostly guilty white people are in the media, but they would cover it round the clock because, again, it's just too big not to.
What was the front page of our paper today? It says something like white disease or something.
No, they have one of them says hate killers, chilling words before opening fire. You have to go.
America's disease,
America's disease, racist South Carolina church shooter captured.
Yeah, that's all they're talking about. Race.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's part of the story because he said that's why he's doing it.
Yes.
So, I mean, like, it is a big part of the story.
Yeah, but if he hadn't done it there, he would have done it somewhere else.
Probably, yeah.
And it wouldn't have been a racist thing.
I think mental illness should be talked about a lot more than it is.
Are they at all even?
Not really.
No. Of course not.
But this is why, like with Muslims, when they complain, like, why you profile? It's like Islam doesn't say. It's like, yeah, but the guys who did it said that's why they did it. He said this is why he did it.
Yeah, like I'm not saying that he's not. Yeah. He's 100% racist, but it's like it's still taboo to talk about mental illness.
Yeah,
and we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah,
because it's a personal failure.
Someone says, stop blaming mental health. There's a woman wrote an article. Stop blaming mental health for gun violence. The problem is guns. Guns are part of the problem, sure, but you biased dumb bitch. It's the fact that a lot of people have guns that don't go on shooting sprees.
Yeah, Kimberly Yonkers, you're a dope.
What a dope
from the Washington Post.
They're the same ones.
You're just a dope.
That's the same paper that did a bunch of shit was written about Anthony that was awful, but that was the one that had the worst fucking and the most disgusting editorial by some woman who's like, hey, if some men want to just help a woman in trouble, they're the worst, the Washington Post.
She's just a dope.
Then again, if they ever praised my act, I would change my tune quickly. Hey, look, I mean, they got the right to that opinion.
Guns are certainly a problem in America. I don't know what the solution is. I'm not even going to try to sit here and come up with a solution. But the fact is, Kimberly, if this kid didn't have a gun, he probably would have figured out another way to do this.
Yeah, would have learned how to make a bomb. Or something like that.
It is mental illness.
It is.
It's mental illness first.
Because there's a lot of racists in this country. And Travis hit on the head. A lot of racists that have guns. A lot of them. I know some.
Shouldn't this be happening every day?
Every day if it was only racism.
You got a lot of racist people in this country with guns, so this should be happening every day. Why doesn't it?
Colin Ferguson hated white people. There's a lot of black people that don't like white people. They don't all walk on the Long Island Railroad and shoot people. He was a fucking nut, and it was more obvious that he was a nut because he defended himself in his trial. Mm-hmm. But you look at Colin Ferguson, I really don't even look at him like, wow, that's a racist. I look at that fucking mentally ill nothing that did this.
Yes.
I don't look at him as a gun problem. I don't wonder where he got his gun. I know that's stupid. I probably should. I don't care where Colin Ferguson got his gun. I really don't care that he only targeted white people. I really look at him like, what a fucking worthless, fucking mentally ill nothing this guy was.
Yeah, you gotta acknowledge that he targeted black people. So he's certainly a racist as well. But man, the mental illness is strong in this kid.
That's what causes you to do it.
Right.
The fact that you have shitty feelings about a lot of people. All right, you're a lousy person.
Yeah.
But the fact that you would pick up the act of committing the act of violence is not because you're a racist. Mm-hmm. It's because you're a fucking mentally ill person.
Yeah.
You're fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been angry enough at girlfriends to kill them. I really have been angry enough to hit them. I don't do it. I don't go to that next act of violence because I'm not a fucking, I'm not sick enough to do that.
There you go.
I don't think so, at least.
I know.
I do a lot of things that people would say are sick, though.
Not
at all.
That just shut me up.
Sometimes you lift up a skirt and you bob your head up and down and you're like, maybe I am sicker than I thought. Let's go to the phones.
Oh, Christ. Now we got Julia Craven.
What is she craving, my prick?
Forget this fucking shit.
She craving my prick? Who is she?
It just drives you nuts.
Who's Julia Craven?
She's from the Huffington Post. She writes, when white people go on shooting sprees, ready for this? Are you ready?
Yes. It's justified.
Are you ready?
No.
Their actions are frequently attributed to mental illness, and thus they're not considered fully accountable for the harm they've inflicted. This narrative, which is not afforded to people of color, feeds into the assumption that incidents like what happened at Emmanuel AME Church are isolated tragedies executed by lone gunmen. Essentially, it excuses a system that allows racialized terrorism to keep happening.
You know, the fact that she has a point, even though I don't like what she's saying, the point that it's always white people are crazy and black people are thugs, but the same thing lets black people off the hook. Because whenever they commit an act of violence and there is a racial motive to it, that's washed away with, oh, it was a robbery. That's why they were going to burn the people alive, because the white guy was married to the black woman, that Marine.
Yes.
The press whitewashed that, so to speak, by ignoring the racial thing. So, yeah, she's right in a way, but they do it on both sides to kind of, I guess, alleviate a lot of why the person did it or to give them an excuse.
But the facts are, you look at this kid, he's fucking nuts. Yeah. You could just see it. The Sandy Hook kid, you could see he was fucking nuts. And then you got the guy in Colorado, that trial's going on, and his therapist or his psychologist, psychiatrist, whichever one he was, admitted that he was scared of this kid before he did the shooting. He said he was actually scared to help this kid out. A psychologist or a psychiatrist was saying this.
And black people don't commit these, by and large. When black people go on shooting sprees or whatever, it's crime related or it's gang related. I mean, like when there's just in the city. I'm not talking about the thing like that Marine and his wife. There's usually it's in something else is happening. Not always, but they don't normally walk into schools and just shoot 10 kids.
Right.
You don't hear about black guys doing that.
Yeah.
It's just not a black crime. You don't hear about black guys opening fire on people in a church.
Yeah, it's been the old joke for a long time that this is a white guy crime.
Yeah, that's why everyone was so.
It's always been a white guy crime for the most part.
When the Washington sniper turned out to be.
That's why no one thought Wayne Williams was black.
Yeah.
Because serial killer is such a white thing.
Yes.
Everyone thought he'd be white.
It's extremely rare when they're not white.
Yeah.
Period.
But she has a point though, like.
To a point. All right, but we're not ignoring the fact that this kid is absolutely a racist as well. We're not ignoring ignoring that.
She's saying it's always attributed to mental illness, but I don't look at that as an excuse, because I attribute Colin Ferguson to mental illness. I don't look at every white murderer as a fucking mentally ill person. Only the ones that go on mass sprees like this, like whether it's a school full of kids or a church full of people.
Salon.com, blaming mental illness is a cop-out. And one that lets us avoid talking about race, guns, hatred, and terrorism.
Salon really wants to talk about race?
Yeah, Salon tweeted, white America must answer for this.
Oh, they're embarrassing.
They are.
They're embarrassing. They think Patton Oswalt is extreme.
Yeah.
Like, as far as, like, he's a... Salon just stinks.
I mean, one look and you go, wow. As soon as I saw this kid, I'm like, wow, mental illness again. That's the first thing I thought. And then, sure, you got to acknowledge that he's a racist. Of course you do.
Yeah, and because he said that's why he did it.
Yes.
You can't ignore that.
But this kid is nuts. They're all saying it already.
I don't look at mental illness as an excuse. I don't think that's I think that's why he did it. I think that the problem is we don't deal with people who are mentally ill. I don't think that's letting them off the hook. I think he should never get out of jail. I think he should have probably. Well, I don't know, that's harsh, but I always talk about people who should have been killed at birth. He should have been aborted. This kid.
I mean, yeah, maybe there's white people out there that don't want to acknowledge, this type of thing happens with white shooters. But the fact is, he was mentally ill and he's a racist. There you go.
I didn't think when Zimmerman shot Trayvon Martin, the debate about mental illness didn't come up with him. People talked about whether or not he was racist or whatever, but there was no mental illness debate in that because no one thought that was an act of mental illness. It's not the guys that fucking shoot cops in shootouts or whatever. They're not kidding. No one talks about mental illness.
Yeah,
it's only when it's a weird crime like this that where there's a bunch of people in one area and you purposely go on a spree and target people here aren't armed.
Mm-hmm. I get really, really tired of hearing the phrase mental illness thrown around as a way to avoid saying other terms like toxic.
Who avoids toxic? It's a great word.
Racism.
It's all my relationships.
Misogyny.
Misogyny.
Misogyny, sorry.
We talk about misogyny and
misogyny.
Fucking, we live it.
And masculinity. We barely know anything about the suspect in the Charleston, South Carolina atrocity. We certainly don't have testimony from a mental health professional responsible for his care. That
Do you need testimony?
From any specific mental illness? Well, I mean, they make a good point. We don't have that yet.
No.
But I will bet a lot of fucking money that's coming within a day.
But we don't have testimony that he's a racist.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Or that he suffered from a mental illness at all. Arthur Chu from Salon.com.
He must be hungry. Here's the problem, Arthur. I know there's no testimony to that, and if mental illness is used as a cop-out to excuse white crime, but that's not how I look at it. We all have human experience. I know racists, and a lot of people know racists. I'm sure even people at Salon who are irritating know racists. Mm-hmm. They won't acknowledge that they know any non-white racists, but they do. We all know white racists and black racists. They exist. I don't know any murderers. I don't know anybody that's gone and committed a crime. I know a lot of people who are racist, but I don't know anybody who's committed a fucking heinous, violent act. You don't need medical testimony to see mental illness when a guy walks into a fucking school and shoots a bunch of 5-year-olds. I don't need a doctor to tell me, wow, this is why. Mm-hmm. You know, my human experience tells me this guy is a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, just living your life, you know who the mental people are. Like you said, most of us have something going on, but you know the ones that are over the fucking edge.
When you see a guy on the train, when you see a guy in the subway, and he's walking in and he scratches, go, oh, ladies and gentlemen, do you need someone, even if he doesn't say anything, do you need someone to sit down and tell you this guy has problems? Or does your human experience just kind of know it?
It kicks in.
It immediately kicks in.
It kicks in. You don't go to the guy and go, have you seen a health professional?
Let me look at your paperwork, sir.
Have they diagnosed you with a mental illness?
You don't need a doctor by your side to ask, like, dude, what do you think of this guy?
You just know. But I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. You know, I don't know if you're supposed to call the authorities every time, but you just know.
Well, you don't do anything with it. You just know.
You just ignore it, but you just know. Your human experience tells you this
and
guy's...
you move away from those type of people.
Yeah, this guy's homeless or he's fucking crazy or whatever.
Look, Scott in Atlanta, I live next to a kid who is just like this. I have no doubt that Scott thinks that.
Yeah.
And he's probably a little... Let's take his call. Let's take his call. It doesn't mean that Scott's neighbor's going to go into a church with a gun and kill people. But this kid next door to you probably freaks you out a bit, right, Scott?
Yeah, completely. He lives he's in fourth grade, and he started. He held hostage his class with scissors, and the teacher, he got kicked out of school for 2 days. I told my wife, I was like, this kid is going to come over and shoot us one day. I was like, we better be nice to this ever.
We lost him.
Are you there?
Oh, there you go. Yes, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah. Sorry. So the kid, did you get the part? The kid's in fourth grade.
Yeah.
Held his class hostage.
Wait, so he actually held the classroom hostage?
Yeah, and
with scissors?
Yeah, and the parents do nothing about it. Is what the part that kills me. You know, it's like the kid will come over to our house. He doesn't knock. He doesn't do anything. He just barges in the door. I'm like, he is still going to shoot us one day.
Who is he, Lenny and Squiggy? Fucking tell me
Hello! Hello!
At least Fox is At least Fox is showing the victims.
Yes.
That's who I'm interested in seeing.
Yes.
Like, you got to mention the kids again. We can't be dopes about it. It's part of the story, but to show the victims and, can we concentrate on them?
Right.
It's more interesting to me. I know why this guy did it. There's something wrong. He's a fucking worthless. He's valueless. He has nothing to contribute. There's nothing to be learned from this fucking worthless, sick nothing.
Yeah, when his friend was interviewed, black friend, by the way, he said that when we heard about this, we said, oh yeah, he did that. Yeah.
Well,
we knew he was crazy.
Why would a black...
They all knew he was crazy.
Yeah.
So why was the black kid friends with this kid?
Because
he probably didn't know he was a racist.
Yeah, I mean, apparently if you go on this kid's Facebook page, the killer, he was friends with plenty of black people.
Yeah.
So he's fucking just nuts.
He's just a...
Sorry, but
I think that
he's nuts. Yes, Scott.
I think the parents are as much to blame too, somewhat, because like this kid next to us, like they're like, oh, little Pookie's fine, they don't care.
Look, as a parent, it's very tough to think that there's something wrong with your kid. We all know that.
By the time you're 21, it's your own responsibility. Yeah. Mommy and daddy, when you're 21, and this is why race is not the issue, because was he a racist? Of course he was. That's why he killed those black people. But the fact that he's a fucking nut. And he would have killed somebody, like Travis said. He would have, if say he wasn't racist at all, say he was very great with race, he still would have been the sick fucking person he was. He would have focused on something else, and he would have killed somebody else. Mm-hmm. He was going to kill somebody. Because the kid who killed all those fucking 5-year-olds in Connecticut, did he not like people under 5'3"?
Yeah, no, he was an ageist.
Yeah, he was an ageist.
Let me ask you this, because now I'm starting to think about the Huffington Post and the Salon thing. Who was the last black person that we would look at and go, holy fuck, that person was nuts? Because it's so obvious with the white kids. It just is to me.
Yeah.
But give me one where you, like one of these over-the-top, big stories where it was a black shooter.
Called mentally ill.
Could someone help me out with that? Who would you say was the last one we went, that person obviously was crazy?
I keep saying Colin Ferguson, but again...
That's a long time ago, unfortunately.
He was his own attorney.
Yeah.
So you got to really watch him unravel. But as far as the way that the press painted it...
give me one. Give me one black shooter or, over-the-top crime like this where we went, oh, God, that black person is obviously nuts.
Yeah, someone call in with that. We're probably missing someone... But I can't. So when they write stuff like that, it's like it's not totally baseless.
Is it a white young white type of crime that happens a lot? I mean, is it young white males that do the crazy shit?
Who is this? Who's mental illness? Was the guy who killed the 2 cops in New York. Because he killed his girlfriend first. They were talking about mental illness with him.
There you go.
He was, at least I was. I remember we were on this show talking about just another fucking...
Right, there you go.
Another nut.
Yeah, he was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And then decided he needed to kill cops. Okay, but the mental illness was strong in that one as well.
But you know what? People didn't want to talk about mental illness with that one either. People would say, no, this is about Mayor de Blasio.
Yeah.
Bad-mouthing the police.
Yeah.
People always want to put something else on it.
Yeah, because they find their angle that helps their cause. But the fact is, thank you. That was the one. That guy was fucking crazy. He had the crazy eyes and the crazy pictures all over the internet as well.
People did not want to talk about mental illness.
They don't want to talk about it because it's a personal thing. Because people don't want to admit that they have mentally ill issues. It's news when a celebrity reveals that they were depressed.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Travis.
But I'm saying, like. It would be more acceptable today for someone to come out and say, I'm transgender, then I have mental.
Well, if they were in my room, it would be. But yes, I know what you mean. Another tranny joke. It's not even 9 yet.
Yeah.
Or 8.
This guy shouldn't have had a gun to begin with. Was charged with drug crimes.
John Muhammad, no one was saying he was mentally ill, even though he was.
Yeah.
They were talking. Serial killers, it's funny. Serial killers, people don't usually talk about their mental illness. We talk about how cunning and smart they are.
Mm-hmm.
This is where all serial killers, that's a white guy thing. Black people, I mean, you keep the NBA, we'll keep serial killers. That's a white guy fucking thing.
Do you think with serial killers, though, like, it's kind of implied?
No, the press doesn't talk, like, when you look at them, like, as folklore, they are looked at as these crazy geniuses.
Yeah, highly intelligent.
Yeah,
in most cases.
They're cunning and they taunt the police.
Yeah.
And we know that they're nuts, but we don't talk about, like, just, what crazy, psychotic people they really are.
Yeah, but at the same time, when we talk about serial killers, they don't try to find ulterior motives, Like
That's true.
No one was wondering, why Jeffrey Dahmer was eating all these people. He was just, he was mentally ill.
I got to interrupt you. Here it is. I told you I was going to bet a lot of money. Doctor, suspect sought fame in mass killing.
He did. Yeah.
So that's coming out.
And they're
desperate for attention.
That's all it is. Me shit.
And the desperate for attention, these young white males especially know that they could go and do something like this and they'll be all over the fucking news.
Well, yeah, I mean, he purposely let one woman live so that she could tell everyone what he did.
And this is why I did it. So yeah, them talking about race in this one is less irritating because it's why he did. It's why he said he did it. He left her alive to say it. He shot only black people. Would his mental illness have driven him somewhere else? Probably. But he was a racist and he was crazy enough to fucking actually commit the act of violence.
Yeah, we're certainly not avoiding the racist angle here.
No.
But you also got to bring in the mental illness because it's a strong indicator here. And is it true there was a 5-year-old that played dead?
Yeah, I heard that. I don't know if that's true. But
supposedly there was a 5-year-old in the church and was aware enough to play dead. So this kid didn't shoot. Was it a girl or a boy? I don't even know.
But why don't we talk about, like, maybe with gang shootings or a lot of the black shootings that you see, a lot of them might be mentally ill too. Like the guy that just opens fire when a guy's pushing his 8-year-old or pushing his 2-year-old in a stroller. Mm-hmm. Maybe that guy is fucking mentally ill. Mm-hmm. And maybe there's a point to that. Maybe we don't fucking ever attribute that shit to mental illness, and we should.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we always look at it like it's black thuggery, when the fact that a guy would shoot at a guy while he's standing there with his mother and 2-year-old daughter, maybe that guy is mentally ill.
Look, we had a tough time finding a black person that you would point at and say that was mental illness. And we got it with the cop killer, guy who killed the 2 cops, but
and then we cleverly remembered how people wanted to avoid that just to blame Bill de Blasio.
That's right.
And I did not give in to that. I stuck with the old mental illness angle because I don't like Bill de Blasio.
Yes, you did. Hey, can we see the Don Lemon thing being heckled?
Don Lemon. I actually like him. I don't know why I shouldn't. Every time I get mad at the news, it's because of Don Lemon, and yet I like him. Oh, Jim, you're such a paradox.
You like him because he is an Uncle Tom. You probably like him because he's an Uncle Tom.
No, I don't like
Black people do not like Don Lemon for some reason because they don't feel like he's supporting their cause.
I typically don't like Uncle Tom black guys. The black guys I'm friends with are all ones that would cut my throat.
Over the nation.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. Here it is. This is what happened to Don Lemon live at CNN yesterday.
And tell me now, have you talked to your friends?
And this nerd.
Had a chance to communicate with others who were at this high school with this man who is now basically accused out in public of a heinous crime?
Pause that.
The woman in the back is saying white people are terrorists. This is a terrorist attack. Okay.
Well, she's saying it's not a hate crime. Why is it a terrorist attack?
I mean, it is a terrorist attack. It's domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess in the end, you're right.
I had to hear you on the chief.
Emmanuel Church. The church itself is not open for some time. I'm joined now by Don Lemon, who's here with me.
And a friend.
Yeah, I missed a little bit of the show.
Yeah. Well, you can understand why people are upset. Because
why not address why not address what she's saying to you?
Yeah, because we could all hear it, Don Lemon.
She's talking about what happened. She's saying that this was an act of racial terrorism or whatever she's saying. Why? Maybe she thinks he's handling it like a white. Why not talk to her about it?
Because they go into their basic babble. when they got a real moment going on here. It says live. You're on the streets in South Carolina. Here is a live moment. You should be able to handle this instead of going into your babble that you already know you're going to, just babble about for the next 2 minutes. That means nothing to anybody.
Because we say we want an honest racial discussion. Let me tell you something. That lady's ready to have one.
Here you go.
That's the woman you talk to. Like, maybe she's a little nutty because she's just fucking. Who knows though?
She's not.
Maybe she's just angry.
She's pretty controlled, so I don't know how.
Maybe she's just mad.
She is. She's fucking pissed off.
Yeah, maybe she's just mad.
And she doesn't like white people, Don Lemon.
Why not let her talk on the news? Why not say to her, "What are you talking about?" Why not? I would rather hear from her.
Yeah.
That angry resident who's fucking furious at this fucking this white devil for doing than hear this idiot babbling with his other friend.
And it's the same babble they're going to do another 10 times during this story.
Yeah, put this lady on.
Nothing new. Put her the fuck on. And the white guy, that nerdy guy, I don't even know his name. He's so annoyed, but he doesn't have the balls to confront her.
And then Don's going to laugh. Well, I guess why people are mad. Yeah, people are mad. So put one of them on the news, dummy.
Yes, let's hear this.
Doesn't happen. This shouldn't happen to anyone. The whole thing that we have been talking about is whether this is terrorism or not. And I think it is terrorism. By any stretch of the imagination, you can understand that people are upset, but we're going to continue to talk about that.
She's 100% right, that lady.
Yeah.
Speak about the anger.
Yeah.
Talk about, basically, stop whitewashing. Again, I keep saying that, but stop fucking soft-soaping it. And how old am I, 90? But Don Lemon, just ignoring this. This is a guy who does the news.
Yeah.
There's a woman saying to him, "Are you angry? Because we're angry."
Yeah.
And they are ignoring her because she doesn't fit the fucking narrative.
She's extremely angry because she feels like, there's a racist kid in their town that just went into a church and killed 9 people. Talk to her.
That's the woman you should talk to.
You want ratings? Talk to her.
Or if you want an honest discussion, if Colin has a great.
They don't want an honest discussion, but they want ratings. So here's your ratings in front of your fucking face. They don't want the honest discussion. We know that.
Colin's always raised to go. People want to talk about race, but people want to talk about talking about race, but nobody wants to discuss it. And look, she's unpredictable. Here's why they don't put her on the news: because she's unpredictable. She's not going to give you the polite fucking soundbite and go, all right, you got to go to a commercial. No, she's not going to give you that.
No, they want to save all of their race talk for that, heavily prepared, N-word debate that they have on.
Yeah, and they want the angry black guy to be a controllable angry black guy.
Yeah, where everything that he's going to say.
He's a
it's all
professor.
scripted out. Yeah.
Yes, he's hardcore, but he's a professor.
They want their people that they go to in the studio where it's all safe for everybody. You're right. Where they're sort of a little angry, but they know they're not going to go too far. This lady will give you a fucking discussion.
Yeah, this woman will say brutally honest things. Whether she's right or wrong, at least let her talk. I mean, she is right there.
I should dislike her because I assume she doesn't like white people because I think she calls us the white devil or the kid the white devil.
Yeah.
But there's something about her that's pretty damn entertaining.
Look, I'll be honest. When we always think of when there's when that black guy tortured the white family in D.C., the first thing you thought of is that fucking black motherfucker. It's just the first thing you think of.
Sure.
So if a guy walks into a church and kills 9 people and says, "I don't like blacks," you can't blame black people for going fuck white people for today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I told you when what's his name turned me down for a photo, he just looked at me, wouldn't take one. 2 Chainz. That was the day the Eric Garner cop wasn't indicted. Now, whether or not he should have been is not the point.
Yeah.
But I got why black people weren't too happy to take a photo with fucking smiling white bulb head.
I would assume
I got it.
On that particular day, a guy like 2 Chainz, 2 Chainz was not happy with Whitey.
Yeah.
Can you go back to that?
Want to pose and smile?
No, I got it.
Go back to this lady.
I love this lady.
And has anyone talked to this lady? Another news organization should have grabbed her.
Well, once she's right there on camera, when you claim to be doing live news, like when you're interviewing, you're down there at the scene or in the area. That's a resident who has something to say. Why do you only do polite man on the street shit?
What? They barely do man on the street in general. If you're doing a live broadcast, when we do live broadcasts, which has been rare lately, we talk to the people. Why the fuck send your whole crew down there if you're not going to talk to the people?
Well, when they're
you can do all this in a studio.
Well, when they're doing the riots, they always grab people when they're doing the riots. So what do you think is ever? But they always grab someone when someone's yelling in the back, and is genuinely angry. They don't want to talk to.
They
that
avoid
person.
those people. Yeah, I guess you're right. They find safe people to talk to.
Yeah.
But this, she's relatively safe because she's in control.
She's ready to have a discussion about race. That's what the press wants. Talk to her.
The white guy is so annoyed, but doesn't have the balls to say one fucking word. He keeps looking back at her.
She only calls him an Uncle Tom. Sorry, she only calls him an Uncle Tom because he won't acknowledge her when she's going, "Are you angry?" She's asking him as a black guy, "Are you angry?" So why don't you talk honestly?
Well,
he is a black guy.
It's a legitimate question.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
No, I mean, they've said that about Don Lemon for a while now. There's a lot of black people that don't like Don Lemon because they feel like he's, catering to the white man.
But the funny thing is, deep down, he's probably more radical than so many guys are. A lot of times you find out those guys who just put on their happy news face.
Yeah.
You know, deep down, he probably does not feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me of Terrence Howard in Crash.
Yes. Very good. Let's finish this clip.
It is terrorism by any stretch of the imagination. You can understand that people are upset, but we're going to continue to talk about that.
The president himself said he's angry today.
Right.
And local leaders said they are angry, too, that violence like this can't happen in a church. But everyone I've spoken to as well has also talked about healing.
Yeah. I just think it's really sad that when we have 9 people who've lost their lives.
We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break
and
so we can
have
have a
to
real
deal with something
conversation.
like this.
Let's
But
get
I think it's important, too, that people see the ignorance.
You hear that?
Oh, I heard
We're going to take a break so we can have a real conversation.
Oh, I heard it, Travis.
We're going to take a break.
I just got heated up.
Yeah.
The real conversation is happening in front of your fucking face.
Yeah.
And the white nerdy guy got, a message in his earpiece from a producer going, I will handle the situation by going to a commercial.
Don't acknowledge her.
Go back to that. We're going to take a break so we can have a real conversation. They said that. The real conversation is right in front of your fucking face.
Yeah.
That when we have 9 people who've lost their lives.
We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break
and
so we can have a real
deal with something like this.
Let's
But I think it's important too that people see the ignorance with it.
Stop praying. She's right. Get off your knees and stop praying. She's not wrong about that. I don't think just for black people. I think all these people turning to faith today, by the way, you fucking dumbbells. You couldn't have had this happen closer to God's house. Mm-hmm. It happened after a Bible. Those 9 people could not have been more doing the right thing.
Yes.
They could not have been behaving in a more lovely fashion than to go to a fucking Bible study.
Who the fuck goes to church on a Wednesday unless you're really into God?
For an hour to talk about the Bible at night.
Only old people go to church during the week. They have nothing else to do, so they go to church.
They couldn't have been having
God.
a nicer, more wholesome evening, a more God-centered night. They were doing a fucking Bible study in a church.
On a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday.
So, and then today people turn to... For what? That would be like after fucking 9/11 and Americans are grieving, so we turn to Islam. That's what that would be like.
I want to call that white guy a pussy. Could you tell me what his name is so I could do this proper? Because he is a pussy. He is so mad, but isn't willing to say anything to that black lady. And then has the nerve to say, we're going to take a commercial break so we can have a real discussion. There's nothing that nerdy white guy and Don Lemon could say that's more important than that live moment that's going on right in front of him. John Berman, you're a pussy.
Yeah, I mean,
you are a pussy.
Yeah, what the fuck is he doing? She's calling Obama a puppet and a fucking Uncle Tom. She's a radical black lady. Maybe she's nutty. Who knows? Maybe she's not. Maybe she's just angry.
And some shit went down in her town. In her town. She's right there to talk to. Are you angry? Are you angry? She repeated several times. Yeah, we heard it all. Yep.
He would not talk about the anger, Don. Don, the president's a puppet. Stop the lies. Stop the lies. He's an Uncle Tom. President Obama is Uncle Tom, too. Uncle Tom. That's a racial discussion. See, that's the lady, though.
Yeah.
That's the woman, and that's the attitude that white people are fucking terrified of. And that's why racial discussions are always white people spanking themselves, because they're afraid of talking to a woman like that and her saying such unpleasant things to them. Mm-hmm. That's whether or not she's 100% right. She's probably not.
She might even...
She's half right.
She might not even have intelligence to what she says if they decided to go with it. But, I mean, it's news entertainment. We all know that. And they're going for ratings. There's your ratings in front of your fucking face, no matter what. And I saw that, Obama was going to speak about this, and I blew it off because I'm like, his hands are tied. He's not going to say anything special, when he talked about this. Because he doesn't have the balls to say what he really wants to say.
That woman screaming like that That is white people's greatest nightmare, is black people being angry and vocalizing it like that. Don Lemon's comfortable for them, because of course he's angry. But that's a comfortable guy to discuss with, because they'll stay in the parameters and the real anger won't be displayed or whatever. But that's why people wonder why white people why is racism always talked about with a bunch of white people spanking themselves and go, oh my God, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's because white people are afraid of that woman and that type of emotion coming out and that type of talk they have to have. That's what a racial discussion is.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's fucking unpleasant.
Right. Opie and Jim are forgetting how crazy some of the people they find on the street and put on live TV can be. Need to screen people first. You don't need to screen anybody.
Yeah, but then why do you report from the street?
First of all, you should be able to go with it. Second of all, I've seen these news crews around New York a million times. They got security with them if it does get ugly. I mean, that little white nerdy dude, what's his name again?
Travis?
John Berman. That white nerdy dude has protection. So, I mean, when you see the shot on your TV, it looks like, oh, these guys are just out there by themselves. But no, they come with security people, especially when they go into some of these crazier areas like the Baltimore riots and certainly maybe the South Carolina thing. They got security with them right off camera. Ready to pounce if they have to. You
don't need to screen people when you're dealing with raw emotion, you're dealing with the news, and you're in the location. Like, they've chosen to do an outside shoot. If they were in a studio bringing people in, then maybe you screen people. But when it's happening right behind you, when one of the residents is directly addressing you on camera about what happened, and you just ignore it and talk to this guy, we're going to have a proper discussion.
But this stupid lady is no longer with us.
Yeah.
You know, and if it was bad, because you've seen this a lot on live TV, if it was bad, you do see the security people come and remove those people in a nice way. They try to anyway. They
just cut the live feed and go to the studio and say, we apologize for that.
Where's Malik? We used to hear from Malik all the time. What about that guy?
Love what?
I think he was a K-Rock guy.
Malik?
I don't think he was a satellite.
I think you're wrong. I think he was a satellite guy. I don't remember. Yeah.
I feel like
Asbury Park, right?
Yeah. I think Travis is right. The one thing about not being on regular radio, I mean, you don't get, as many of those type of people.
Casual listeners.
Like those very animated people.
Who was the one that used to drive Anthony crazy, who I loved? Not David.
Name a black guy.
No, he was Martin Luther. No, he was he used to call it all the time. Anthony. He was like I think he was like 50.
The old school black guys.
Yeah.
There were a few of them.
A lot of those guys don't call in anymore.
Yeah, I forgot his name. We've had a few of them. Anyway, phones are lit. I'm trying to see if we covered all this.
Well, it's a big story. I mean, it's the fucking biggest story in the country.
Going around shooting. Bring up mental illness a lot, but you don't see women going around shooting people at a rate that I'll adjust your statement, young white men do. Yeah, this seems like...
She's right.
Seems to be a thing that a lot of young white males like.
No, you know what? Women drown their kids. Here's the difference. When women are crazy... Susan Smith, who's more of a cunt than crazy, or Andrea Yates. Or a lot of when women kill more than one of their kids,
or the one that got away with it.
Yeah, but people saw her more as a manipulative cunt because she killed one, Casey Anthony. But when women kill more than one of their kids, that's when mental illness is talked about with women. And plus, women are not as violent by nature as men are. They're just not. You're not. Women do weirder, different shit, I think, when you're psychotic. Yeah. But for you, it comes to a head when you murder your own kids.
Because their shooting sprees are definitely a male thing.
That's a male thing. Absolutely a male thing.
But a white male thing, let's say it, because it's the truth in most cases.
Yeah, white guys are more likely to go on a mass shooting than black guys.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
And women, they're too busy like playing with their Barbie dolls. Let's keep them calm, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a Trump outside the studio. All right. It's going to get even crazier in here today.
I don't know. He seems pretty controlled.
He likes to talk a lot. That was my point.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's eat.
You want to eat?
Yes.
I'm just making sure we did all this. I think we did it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Everyone's talking about what Jon Stewart had to say yesterday. You want to just play that into the break, Travis? It's a standalone piece, right?
Yeah, sure. Adrian? Has it?
Okay, Adrian's got it. So Jon Stewart doesn't have any Charleston shooting jokes. Well, of course not. It happened way too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind him doing that. Jon Stewart has kind of earned the right to do that after 20 years of doing the gig. It's like if you have one night where you're just too. Yeah.
He says he doesn't have any Charleston shooting jokes, just sadness because we still won't do jack shit. This is Jon Stewart as we go to break. One of our old pals is outside the studio. We haven't talked to Donald Trump Jr. in a while. Where the hell has he been? Where have you been? Too busy making money?
It's been a while.
As a business model, can you explain why Starbucks doesn't fix their shitty lids? They drive me nuts.
I ruined another shirt the other day. It's the seal. You got to make sure the seal is not.
Really got to check
not
that
where
cap.
Yeah, you got to move it so the seal is not next to where you drink the coffee.
It makes me so angry, irrationally angry.
You have a really nice shirt on, maybe like a white shirt.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get the drips of coffee.
No, that's no good.
Stupid lids.
Well, I always go crazy when I order the large, but I don't drink coffee, so I get something with like foam on it or whatever, and it ends up being a small once you get through the foam. That always drives me nuts.
Yes, where they save money.
That's my pet peeve. So it's,
Yeah. Where have you been? What the hell?
I've been around. Well, I know Ron told me a couple of times, and like I you know me, I travel so much for work and stuff like that some days I just can't be in the next morning because I'm in God knows where all over the world. So
I saw you on Instagram. You were in Chicago checking out the Trump building.
I was in Chicago yesterday. I know that he called me on Wednesday. Said, "Hey, can you come on tomorrow?" I was like, "No, but I'll come on Friday if you're around." So.
Yeah, that Trump building in Chicago's sweet.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and it was interesting. You know, I got there just literally. I flew in for a few hours, had a couple meetings, and then flew out. But it was cool just with the parade for the Blackhawks and everything like that. It was kind of a.
Oh, that's why you went?
No. I went for business, but it just happened to be there. You know, it was just cool seeing. The town was just packed, and Michigan Avenue was a zoo. It was pretty cool.
Fuck their hockey team. That's what I say. How about that?
Once the Rangers were out, then I'm like,
3 Stanley Cups in 6 years. Fuck you people.
Well, they need something, right? I mean, with the depression of the Cubs and everything.
Yeah, I guess.
They need something.
What do you got on this shooter, this kid? Is it racist?
Well, listen,
racist behavior, or is it mental illness? Is it both?
I think it's probably a combination of both in this case.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the mass shootings that have happened over the last few years, I mean, to me, it's just you just look at the pictures of these people and you see that there's something wrong with them. And that's not saying that racism isn't still a big issue in this country on all sides. Mm-hmm. But you look at these people and there's just something wrong with them. Guys like you and me and everyone else that we know and associate with, they don't sit there and say, "Hey, maybe I should do this one day," and just do it. Like, these are troubled people.
Absolutely. But I don't know why they don't really bring it into the discussion.
It's amazing to me.
A little bit they do. They touch on it slightly, but with like kid gloves. They're very careful how they discuss mental illness on the news.
I agree. And, for me, listen, you know this better. And, when Ant was here, we used to talk about shooting a lot and stuff like that. It always becomes a gun issue, not a person issue. And, that's like, when I think about it, it's like, come on, what does it have to do with that? I mean, if someone's sick, bring up the mental health issue. And it's a big problem in this country. It's going to be a problem in any country with 320 million people. I mean, it's a big deal.
I lean toward, I wish there were less guns in this country. But then the news says stupid shit. They're like, this kid should never have gotten a gun for his 21st birthday. Like no one should get a gun for their 21st birthday. And there's a lot of parents that give their kids guns for their 21st birthday. And those kids will never do anything crazy with that gun.
Exactly. I mean, there's hundreds of millions of guns in the country that haven't killed anyone, haven't been used that way. And to make it not about mental health is crazy. I mean, that's like, look, I was complimenting Jimmy before and how he's kept the weight off. It'd be like saying, well, Jimmy, you were fat because of the spoon you used was, you controlled yourself. You did something good and you lost the weight. I mean, you got to blame people too. And if people have issues, you got to blame, but not the methodology.
There's a combination of things. We're all looking to put it on one thing. It's almost like we're looking at it like it's a wheel we spin. It's race, it's guns, it's mental illness. Why isn't it just a combination?
Yeah.
The fact is, guns are definitely a problem. They're part of the problem. They're not the entire problem, and taking every gun away is not the answer. But to think that they're not at all a part of the problem is like, well, then you have to look at the rest of the civilized world who does have like you said it before, they have a lot of mental illness in England. They have a lot of mental illness in Canada. Mm-hmm. At least the guys in Canada just fucking stab you on a bus and eat you. Like, they really make it obvious when they're crazy, but they don't go on shooting sprees.
If someone's looking to do something like that, they're going to figure out a way to do it, right? if you have a modicum of brain power and you want to hurt people, it's doable. That's the problem. If you don't care about your life and you don't care about anything, you're going to be able to hurt someone.
You can't hurt 9 people at once, though, with a knife. It's kind of hard.
Thank you. The other side of that argument, people would say, yeah, but if it was only a rock or a brick they could find, you're going to have.
I'm sure there's
more
other
survivors.
things that they could do, but again, the politics of it, people are never going to. Probably never going to agree on everything with it, and that's
it's never going to drastically change. That's for sure. We've been arguing this point for forever in this country, and nothing drastically really happens, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have
gun laws get a little tougher, and
I think Washington. Well, they also get nonsensical, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see what happened in New York, right, where they pass all sorts of. All of a sudden, the cops are in violation of the thing for doing what it. People's natural tendency is to try to overreact to. To be the first one to act on an issue so that they can run to their voters and say, look what I did. But they don't really think any of it through. Or, whether it be, Cuomo in New York with the gun rules or our congressmen when they're talking about finance reform and these things. You have people making major decisions without any knowledge of the subject, just to sort of be the first person to act and just to be the one to be able to get up there and say, hey, I did this. But, they're making stupid decisions that harm us in the long run for the 2-second soundbite that looks really good on the cover of the Post or, whatever newspaper. And that's not a great way to run a country for the long term.
Vice President Trump, how do you think this should be handled?
No. I think,
Congratulations on that, by the way.
I appreciate that.
I didn't realize you were your dad's running mate.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
That would be the ballsiest move ever.
Yes.
Running, you and him running, you as the vice presidential nomination. I think that you should. Has he picked anyone?
No, I don't think he's picked anyone yet as it relates to that. I mean, I think we got a long way to go for that, but I think it's going to. I'm looking forward to the debates. I mean, certainly someone's going to bring up some issues and bring up.
I love that he's running because he's going to make all the other politicians a little more honest.
Well, correct. He's going to call them on it because these guys. I mean, when Jeb Bush, whose brother got us, it took him a week to respond to whether it was a good idea to go into Iraq or not. I mean, come on. Yeah, you don't have an answer. You haven't formulated an opinion over this over the last decade or so. Like, give me a break. I mean, that's how crazy we are as a country. I mean, people have to sit there, and they're sitting with someone in a room for a week, strategizing about what's the answer. And 1 minute it's right, and then they got to caveat it a little bit to be able to appease everyone. That's why we have the gridlock that we have.
Well, Vice President Trump, how did your dad? I like the way that sounds. I need powerful friends.
No chance. Yeah. Well, maybe.
How did your father tell you he was running? Did he tell you a week before, or did he call you morning of, or what? Actually, how did you come to know this?
I mean, honestly, I don't know that we ever sat down and said, I'm going to do it. It was more. I'm seeing the way he was handling. I'm seeing where he's traveling, and it was one thing last cycle where. He'd just make a lot of commentary about the things that, pissed him off basically about what was going on in the world and the country. But when I started seeing him say, okay, I'm not going to go to this meeting or I'm not going to make this deal because I'm going to go to Iowa and, talk about these issues to real people, or I'm going to New Hampshire, or I'm going to South Carolina, I'm going to all these places,
Those are tells for a politician.
And beyond that, but I mean, for a guy like him who, could do whatever he wanted to at this stage in his life, right? I mean, he could sit back and play golf all the time. He sees what's going on, and I think it's really upsetting to him.
You only go to New Hampshire if you love maple syrup or you're a politician.
Well, fly fishing. I go to New Hampshire. I like fly fishing.
Those are the number two things why you would go to New Hampshire.
When a guy worth $8 billion says, "I'm going to swing by Iowa," there's no way you're doing anything but running for something.
Exactly. I got to ask you. The last time we had your dad on the phone, we got into it a little bit because he swears he's never had the flu, and I've been obsessed with this ever since. He had to have had the flu once in his life.
If he has,
he was insulted by the assumption that I said you had to have had the flu once.
Honestly, I've never seen him ever take a sick day, ever.
That's crazy.
Now he's he doesn't eat particularly. He's just he is germ conscious. I mean, he washes his hands regularly, does that kind of stuff. But I think, in my opinion, he's probably had it, but he just says, man, I just feel a little off today, but I'm going to work anyway because that's what I do and that's who I am.
Have you ever seen him sneeze?
I've seen him sneeze, yes. yes, I have. But that could have been hay fever, not the flu.
Does he really have to work hard at this point? Or does he kind of...
It's just, what? He doesn't have to. He can do whatever he wants at this point.
He's more like a figurehead, though. He's got everything set up all nice for himself, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean,
he doesn't have just really talented people that do all the heavy lifting for him?
He has that, too, and I'd like to think I'm part of that team as well, but... It's just not his style. He can't he doesn't
He can't
sit
be
back
hands-off.
and he's never taken a vacation per se. If he takes a week off, he's at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, which, a beautiful place, but he's got a golf course right there. He's got Doral an hour down the road, and he goes to these things, and he's talking about moving this wall here, and this layout's going to... He doesn't know how to vacation. He doesn't know how to relax. For him, relaxing is working. I remember as a kid, we'd go to Colorado for a week skiing, and it wasn't his thing. And he'd be so miserable. He'd be there because he's being a dad, but he's just, and this is, in the days before cell phones and before it was easy to communicate. And he'd just be going crazy because he wants to be in the office. That's, his work is his passion, is his vacation, is his fun. So, he can't help but work hard.
All right.
If you're really good at something and you're powerful in that place, like where you're not getting stepped on and walked all over by people, it probably is a lot more fun to go to work. Like when you're just making decisions and you're seeing that, like it pans out, it works out well, and you see these great buildings going up, it has to be a good feeling, like, because you're actually doing what you say you want to do. Like you're not just talking a bunch of nonsense. You're actually getting shit done. It'd be fun to show up to the office.
You shouldn't You shouldn't use the word work. At that point, it's really not work.
It's what he does. It's what
your
he would do
passion.
anyway. Meaning, listen, I think money is a good way of keeping score in that game, perhaps, and that's how he looks at it. But if he made 1/10 of what he was making doing the exact same thing, instead of just saying, you know what, I'm going to retire now and I've made what... He'd be doing it anyway.
So is he worth $4 billion or $9 billion?
Well,
that's a big difference. That's a big difference.
His financial disclosure is what it is, and if I look through it, it looks pretty good to me, I guess.
It looks solid.
It looks pretty solid. And by the way, I think really at that point doesn't make a difference. It's pretty good. But listen, those guys are real guys certifying it. So I'm not involved in the process. I haven't been involved. I just I show up. I build buildings. I do work.
You are curious though, because someday that will impact you greatly. That will be Don Jr.'s.
I guess I'm curious, but you know what? It's not my style to live. On the come like that. I don't say, well, one day it's going to be. It's not.
You're rich in your own right. Look at the suit you're wearing there, Donald Trump Jr.
I've done really well, and I've done well in family business, and I've been really lucky that way. But it's also not necessarily what motivates me. I mean, you know me well enough. On my weekends, I go to my cabin in the Catskills, and I'm a pretty low key guy. And when I walk into the local fly shop in Roscoe, they're like, "Hey, Don, what's going on?" It's not, "Oh my God, there's Don Trump's kid." It's not.
I know
that's
the local
not my
fly
style.
shop too.
Yeah, exactly. You fit with Guy Rich and stuff like that.
I like Roscoe. It's a nice little.
It's a great little place to get away. It's just it's so different. It's hard to believe that it's and I guess the Catskills has become cool again in the last few years. It's like.
Everyone's getting houses up there, right?
And I'm like, dude, I've been going up there for 15 years. What do you mean?
All the rich people have decided that the Catskills are cool now. So
fly fishing. I can't think of a less appealing activity.
I know it's not your thing.
No.
It's all
reel it in. Reel it in. Just the redundancy.
Don't you like just having a peaceful day?
I love it.
Yeah. It's like
you forget about
it's
I was going to say that. A lot of these activities are very closely associated with just meditating, just like getting away from all the bullshit. Yeah. Like when we took that trip up to Roscoe, me and Bobby, and we were on a boat just slowly going down the river for, it had to be 8 hours. It was awesome.
And when you do well, great. And if you don't, just as good. Meaning I've had just as good a day where I haven't caught anything, and it's...
I've officially have not caught a fish, fly fishing.
Well, we'll have to change that one day.
Not officially. One time, I love telling this story because it drives Bob Kelly nuts. I was dragging my rod through the water as we would go into a spot, and I caught a fish that way.
Well, hey, listen.
And
better be lucky than good.
And Rich goes, "Look, man, that kind of doesn't count. I mean," and then he goes, "That's almost impossible to do. What just happened? That's impossible."
It's not that easy. But Rich sends his regards.
I love Rich.
He's a good guy.
How many kids you up to?
5.
Another one on the way?
No, I'm done, buddy.
You have 5 kids?
I have 5 kids.
Yeah, man. When we met,
my youngest just turned. I think when we first came on, when I came on the show, I think I only had 1 or 2.
Yeah,
first time because it's been a few years.
Wow.
And now we're at 5, but no, I'm out of the game. That's plenty.
5 kids. If I was younger, I probably would go at 5.
You know what? Listen, the way I look at it, like
because I come from a big family, so to me that's like the norm.
Well, people are like, well, especially in New York, they're like, "Wow, that's crazy." But honestly, I've gotten so used to it. My wife's like a machine, like a mom machine. Like she just does that so well. That's what she was put on this earth to do. Like she just. But everything is so well done. I'm like, you know what? Why not?
I love how he says, in New York. In
New York it's different, though, man.
You live in New York a little differently than the rest of us. I would assume you pretty much have 2 floors of a building.
No, I don't. But listen, I'm not saying I'm doing fine, but still, I mean, in New York, it's just logistically it's difficult to do. But we're lucky to be able to get out of the city, and for me, that's a big part of raising them. Like I don't want to raise just these city kids, because I think that's
a
disaster.
I hate the fact that I'm raising city kids. I got to figure it out, and I only have 2, so I completely understand what you're saying.
I mean, I've hardly spent a weekend in the city in 10 years. We just don't do it.
I want to be able to open up a door and just go, all right, go.
I agree. And
go in the big, huge backyard and have fun.
Yeah, and that's what my kids do every week. They're on ATVs, they're playing with air guns, they're running around. Like they get to experience the best of both worlds, really, which is nice.
Right on.
Do you think he's actually going to go through with he announced, but then people are like, he'll drop out. He will. But do you think he'll stick with it, or how far is it going to go?
Obviously, it's going to depend on the numbers, right? I mean, I think that his message is going to resonate well with a lot of people who are fed up with what's going on in Washington, who are fed up of the gridlock, the inaction, everything being so PC to the point of being detrimental to progress or actually accomplishing anything. And you know what? It was interesting. I normally see on my Twitter account, you say a lot of people would be like, "Oh, great." Honestly, the feedback's really that was refreshing, because it's fine to see someone who hasn't just talked but done the action. And I mean, when you say, people are, well, he doesn't have any political experience. It's like, you know what? When I look at the projects he's done just in New York that government failed on for years, whether it was Wallman Rink that was, inoperative for 10 years. He picked it up and in 6 months it was working. The city took it back after the lease was over. Basically, within a year and a half, it was back in dysfunctional again. He took it back and we've been running it since. Ferry Point, the golf course we just opened up in the Bronx, that was basically, a construction site for 40 years where, one guy's moving dirt from pile A to pile B and then back to pile A, getting paid every way. Finally, people have enough and they say, hey, well, we'll give something like this to Trump. People are going crazy. How can you do it? And guess what?
You have a golf course in the Bronx?
A year at Ferry Point, man. It's awesome.
All right.
Nicholas design course, and a course that was designed and being built for 40 years. We got it done in 12 months, and it's open and running, and he gets things done, and that's refreshing. And none of those other guys that he's running against or anyone on the other side could ever say that.
I gotta say this. I don't think he has a chance of actually winning, but I think he's going to change the process.
Well, I think there's no question he's going to change the game. I mean, I'm looking forward to the debates, because that's going to be a bloodbath when he calls out these people on their nonsense. So,
and I want him to go very far in this, absolutely. And if he gets to the debates, oh my God, that's going to be the best TV ever.
I haven't voted since 1992 for Ross Perot. I would absolutely vote again if he was a possible vote. Not even that I think that, it's just he's not them.
Right, correct.
He's not. I'm sick of Bush. I'm sick. I've said this yesterday. I'm tired of the same family names. Well, he's not a politician, but we had an arch liberal right now, and we had an arch conservative right before him. Bush is very extreme on the right, and Obama is very extreme on the left. I have zero interest in either one of those guys. Trump couldn't do any worse than any of these other dopes.
Listen, even if you look at it from he's not a politician, but honestly, was Obama really a politician? He was a half-term senator before, he was the president.
Do you believe your dad has a real shot at winning?
Listen, I think...
And I didn't mean it. I hope I didn't insult you.
Not at all. No, listen, not at all.
Because I think it could do a lot of good as far as honestly, politics in this country goes.
There's been a lot of people who've told him you can't do something.
True.
And he's going around, that's the story of his career, is someone telling him no, and that's what motivates him to get it done, and he's done it time and time again. So what I'd say is stranger things have happened, certainly.
Here's the shot he has, and this is why he does have a shot, because most candidates like that, people go, you get written off. But he has enough of a platform where, if something is not happening, he could actually just go out and talk about it and everybody hears it. It's weird to have that to be able to say that much to that many people whenever you want is a really powerful place, and that evens everything out a little bit. That balances things.
And the rest of the candidates are just not going to get the exposure that your dad will. Whenever your dad wants to talk, they're all going to be there.
Of course, he's more interesting.
That's what I'm getting at. These politicians, what drives me nuts about the process, they don't say anything.
I agree.
There's no...
or they say the same thing for years and years.
It's all sound bites.
And their track record is nonsense, and it's all it is. I mean, I said it earlier, right? They're all looking for that 3-line headline, that'll look good on the cover of the Post or the Daily News, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a really hollow comment.
What did Hillary have to say about the the Charleston situation?
I don't even know. I was traveling yesterday, but
no, that's my point. Because she's not interesting enough, or we would have known by now.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
What's she call for? I guarantee it's about guns. I mean, that's her thing. And I guarantee the gun people say everyone needs to have them.
Curb gun violence in our first reaction. How many people do we need to see cut down before we actually ask?
But that's not even a stupid thing to say, because, again, we have more of that than any other country does. So it's it's a fair thing. But then talk about all of it.
Talk about all of it. But listen, she's also basically, because of the race and because of the way things are going right now, she's shifting from, what was someone who was relatively centrist initially, and now they're getting pushed extremely to the left. I mean, that's the problem with these guys, is they can be just so easily swayed. And that was the comment my father made the other day when he was like, hey, I'm rich. It wasn't to brag about him being rich. I don't think he has to prove that to anyone. It has to do with, I can't be bought. I don't need to be bought. I don't need to owe anyone favors to do this. And, honestly, that's a big deal in our political system where, votes are bought that way. And you have lobbyists running around and saying, hey, guess what? You got to change your opinion on this. Otherwise, you're not going to get X, Y, Z. And it's nice to see someone that's not beholden to that.
I love that your dad is unfiltered. He has nothing to lose.
Zero filter. And that's
what makes this so wonderful. I got to ask you about the Mexicans, because I think a lot of people are trying to say that your dad's racist because of some of the stuff he said about Mexico and the Mexicans.
Honestly, listen, I was there, right? It was a 45-minute speech. I was there. I didn't hear anything racist. Now, that's also... Today, if you even say anything about, some party like that, the first thing everyone says is, oh, it's racist. Guess what, guys? Not everything is racist. When we as a country say something like, hey, our school system sucks, right? I mean, I think everyone will agree we're 26th in the world. We're the wealthiest country in the world. We're 26th in education. We can't, educate our own people. And yet we're going to say we're going to accept everyone that comes in here and just give them everything. It's not like we're, bringing in the best and brightest elsewhere in the world that are going to really be there and create jobs. And again, that's not to say that they're not good people. And he also said that. I mean, some of them may be good people, but you're also getting a lot of bad people. You're getting a lot of drug smugglers coming across. You can't just bring everyone in. The people that, the rest of the world can't take care of and say, hey, until we deal with our own problems and figure that out, that's not to say that we wouldn't want to bring in. And by the way, if you go to Harvard and you're from some foreign country, you go to Harvard and you say, hey, you know what? Guess what? I like America and I want to be here and I want to start a business and I want to start. Man, they throw you out in 2 seconds. Like, this is someone that could actually then generate money to create jobs, to carry people, but that person gets thrown out on his ass. And this is someone that would probably be a net positive for our country. Meanwhile, everyone else who gets in and smuggles themselves in and, oh, well, we got to give them amnesty. We got to let them in. We got to put them on welfare. We got to put them on, health care. And I mean, we can't pay for ourselves.
Yeah, Ann Coulter said something very interesting last week. She said there was a time that 30% of the immigrants had to go home in this country. There was a time where you weren't, if you didn't make it, you went home. And if her facts are right, she said that number was like 30%. Well, and people coming to America failed and had to go back to their home country.
Correct. And listen, as the grandson of immigrants and everything, I saw it with my grandfather. I mean, he became the man of his house at like 9 or 10 years old because his father died, like basically trying to build hotels along with the gold rush in the Yukon. Like, those were serious risks coming here, and it wasn't the risk of crossing the border. And again, I've been in South Texas enough where it's disgusting what you see with these poor kids coming across and trying to do it and, literally dying on some of these big ranches that are just there because the distance is so hard and they can't handle it. I mean, it is very sad. But, once you get here and sort of establish yourself, then it's the idea of like sort of getting on government, letting them take care of you. When those people came over hundreds of years ago, when we talk about this country being a country of immigrants, I mean, there were serious risks. I mean, when, I'm talking about my grandfather, you were the man of the house at 10. And there was no support structure. There was no, hey, who's going to bail me out if it doesn't work out and I can't. I mean, it's a very different scenario. And it was, we just can't handle it as a country. I mean, we have some serious issues between our debt, between this. Not to say that there shouldn't be some sort of level of immigration, but we can't take what everyone else can't handle in their country and support them ourselves. We can't even support ourselves right now.
Don't you think it's harder to succeed, too, if there's a safety net waiting for you?
Well, I think there's a disincentive system, but, listen, I'm the son of a wealthy guy, which in this country today means I can't even have that opinion and say it with any credibility, because if I was Einstein, people would say, "Oh, you're an idiot. It doesn't matter. Silver spoon, yada yada yada." I hear it every day. It's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, but it's obvious you work hard in your own right. We've known you long enough.
I agree. The people who know me can say that, but everyone
else. There's Conrad Hilton too. There's the other side of that where there's Conrad Hilton.
I agree with that, but you can't. But listen,
I mean, just because you have money doesn't mean you're going to do the right thing.
I agree.
Like Conrad Hilton is a spoiled rich kid, and that's how he acts. And you come from money, but then you work and do what you do, which is to continue.
Because I would assume technically, if you wanted to, you could figure out a way where you wouldn't have to work.
No, I was never a trust fund kid, and I think that's what my parents did right. I mean, again, to say we weren't spoiled would be laughable, right? You'd laugh at it, but we were spoiled with good educations. We were spoiled with, great experiences. We were spoiled with that kind of stuff, but we always had to work. We always had to be out there. We weren't trust fund kids where we could just say, okay, I got enough to retire on. No way.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like
my dad wouldn't do that. Yeah. It's not his thing. And even within his business, and again, if we didn't pull our weight, he'd say, hey, don't be here. He's not going to subsidize his business at the expense, expense of our careers or our careers at the expense of his business. Sorry, because that's just not his style. He'd say, figure out something else to do. And listen,
what would he do? Yeah, if you really stunk at that,
if I was living on a bench somewhere, would he do something? Sure. But I wouldn't be driving a Ferrari and living in Greenwich. That wouldn't be what it would be.
What would he do if you really stunk at real estate? Like if you're like, oh God, he's awful at it.
I would think that he would say, listen, it's time for you to figure out something else to do. Almost without question. I mean, we used to get that speech, before he ever coined the sort of, you're fired phrase with The Apprentice. It's like, listen, if it doesn't work out, if you don't like it, I don't want you here.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing a good job, I'll fire you like a dog because, I don't want you here doing something that you're going to be miserable about. And part of it would be, if you weren't good, you probably didn't like it. And he wouldn't want me doing something that I'm miserable at for the sake of doing it because I felt obligated to do something because it's a family business or something like that. So
it seems like he taught you guys passion and drive.
Yeah, no, without question. And no one has more than him. I mean,
it's obvious. We've known you a long time.
Yeah.
You got that in you. When did you first realize that you guys were really rich, though?
I think I've told the story on the show before, but I mean, I think pretty young. But I was really lucky. My mom's from what was then communist Czechoslovakia, right? And my grandfather on her side, he was a blue-collar guy. He was an electrician from there, and he saw a lot of the lifestyle that we were growing up with in this country. And while he clearly could see this is a guy that probably never cleared the equivalent of like 10 grand in a year, right? In communist Czechoslovakia, it was different. But he saw that and said, hey, there's something great about this, but there's also the other side. And so, he took me over there for... I spoke the language fluently from when I was like 3, so he took me over from like the age of 5 for like a month to 8 weeks every summer. I mean, I had friends over there, and I lived like he lived, and it was just very different.
Did you enjoy it or hate it?
I loved it. Honestly, I have friends that I still stay in touch with from there, and it was a great perspective because I got to see really the other side and realize that, hey, the good things that money can buy, but these were really happy people having a great time. It was all about family. It was all about friends. And so I learned really quickly at a young age what I had and what others didn't have, and not to take it for granted, and to be able to give back, and to, be involved in charity, and to understand. So while, again, for the average guy who doesn't know me, they see Donald Trump Jr. and they see, a lot of the other people of similar circumstance growing up, and they're, they sort of group you all together. I'd like to say I probably get it better than most.
Yeah. So you went there every summer.
I mean, yeah, till I was like 16. I mean, it was.
That's pretty cool.
It was a lot. So
you speak
it wasn't
the language fluently?
Yeah.
See, can you say something in that language?
Jo, já mluvím česky perfektně a můžu mluvit celý den s tebou, jestli chceš.
I always get weirded out when I see somebody I know talking in foreign tongue. I don't know how to handle it.
It makes us happy, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it makes me feel like I'm having a stroke, and I don't know what's happening.
Well, what's going? I see the mouth moving, but something.
And the voice is the same, but I don't understand any of this.
I don't understand any of this anymore.
I don't get it.
Can we get your dad on the phone today? It's not too crazy. We talk to him a lot.
You do.
We talked to him a few times a year.
There was a couple times where, there was a couple years there was a little hiatus where it...
Yeah, he got mad at us.
Well, listen, a lot of people get mad at you guys. I don't think you were involved in that one, Jim, were you? That was the pre-Jim days.
No, I was there.
Or you were there, but you just stayed out of it.
I don't even think we did anything too bad, but what did he call us? Was he the one that called us jerks or
low class?
Low class.
Yeah, a lot of accurate things.
Listen, he's going to
I was kind of flattered. I was flattered that we were on Trump's radar.
Wasn't the first time. Probably won't be the last. So.
Oh no, we made up a long time ago. We laugh about it now. It was about Rosie O'Donnell. Something got, what was it again? It's kind of, we haven't talked about it in a while.
It's been a while.
Donald Trump will never, okay, here we go. This is from 2007. I forgot.
That was a while ago.
I forgot all about why until I just saw this little article that popped up. Donald Trump will never be a guest on Opie and Anthony again. The XM satellite radio duo begged him to come on recently to discuss his feud with Rosie O'Donnell. Trump agreed, but after his interview, the shock jock sent out a press release. We never send out our own press releases. I just want you to know that. The company sometimes gets excited and goes, "Oh, let's do something with what happened today." Sent out a press release claiming Trump had called into the show implying he was hungry for publicity. Oh God, we would never say that. Everybody in the world was trying to get me on their show. I turned down Larry King, Trump told Page Six. The idea that I called these two slobs is laughable. That's just not how. Maybe we bragged a little bit because it was a big story and we were excited that.
Probably bragged a little.
Yeah.
Probably. Hey, listen, I think that's the one thing I'll say with the media, right? There's usually. There's two sides to every story, and neither of them are usually right. You know, it's sort of somewhere in the middle. But
it made me happy.
I'm glad you guys are on speaking terms. I think he's in New Hampshire or something today. So, or campaigning, or maybe South Carolina. So,
he's taking this seriously.
No, he's taking it seriously. Like I said, for a guy like him who could say, "Hey, I can do whatever I want today." Whether that be work or play golf to do. I mean, he is taking it seriously.
What could knock him out? Because I remember he flirted with this, 4 years ago, was it?
Well, listen, honestly, the thing that can knock...
6 years ago, and then he didn't want to show people his finances, and that was the
I don't think that was never the case.
That's how they played it.
That was what knocked Stern out of the governor's race years ago.
They assumed...
No, they did it with Trump, too. They really did.
The media
that's went with that angle.
They assumed that's what it was, but that...
It wasn't.
It's not. I mean, trust me, there's no one that's more proud of his financial statement than he is, because he's earned it and he's done a good job with it. But honestly, what could knock him out of it? I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see. The problem, I think, that perhaps a guy like him or anyone else that's been successful in life is, that you make deals, and he's made thousands of deals, and you've, tens of thousands of deals, and sometimes the deals work well for both parties, and then sometimes someone wins and it's disproportionate, and then someone's, pissed off on the other side, and, then they say, oh, that guy's a terrible guy, even though, they were willing to do the deal at the time, but it didn't work out as well for them as they thought. And so I think for a guy that's done a lot and has a real track record, there's people that are going to say, oh, he's a horrible individual because he took advantage of this situation. I don't know. He's a business guy. You made a bad deal. He made a good deal. That's called business. And so I think it's easy to attack. It's hard to attack someone. Like if you look at our president, right? When he first ran, there was no track record. You couldn't criticize him on anything because you can't say, oh, you flip-flop or you did this, because there was nothing there.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a 35-year track record of business and history, and you can say whatever you want.
We know his success, obviously.
Yeah.
What was one dud for the family where everyone was like, ugh.
Well, listen, I think...
What was one of those big duds where it just did not work out for whatever reason in the end?
Listen, I think if you look at... Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think most of them in the end work out, right? I mean, that's why he is where he is. That's why he's been able to make the comebacks that he's had.
But there had to be one flop. Give us one flop.
If you look, I mean, honestly, if you want to talk about, look at what happened in the early 90s, right? I mean, and it didn't, and again, it's not just a flop for him, as it was called just the business world, right? I mean, everyone was highly levered. Everyone was over levered. The world went to crap. I mean, he tells the story about, there was this guy who was basically a beggar. He used to be selling pencils on Fifth Avenue in front of Trump Tower, and he was there with his ex-wife, Marla at the time, and he was, hey, you see that guy? Today that guy's worth $900 million more than me. And she's saying, what are you talking about? How can he be worth $900 million more than you? She goes, well, let's assume he's worth a zero. Right now he's worth $900 million more than me. But he took the lessons from those years of the over leverage and sort of being all in all the time. It's hard to believe and hard to even, you wouldn't believe it, but, it takes a much more conservative approach towards his deals now, towards leverage now, which is why he doesn't have a lot of liabilities on his balance sheet, because he learned from those times and was able to overcome. Now he's at a point in his life where, he doesn't have to take the same risks that he did when he was in his early 30s and 40s, where, you don't get to that point in life without taking some risks and without gambling and without taking those chances. But now he said, okay, he doesn't have to do that. And that's the big conundrum for us as the next generation, being sort of, alpha characters of his, similar personality to him, to say, okay, well, our job is much more to protect, the brand, to protect, what he's created, rather than say, hey, we're all in on this one deal and let's take these big risks. That's not easy, but, as a business and as a family business, I think we have to make those decisions every day. And, but we've learned from him, and seen, and got to experience some of that downside and the downturn, and recognize, what it was. Again, we were a lot more glib in 2001, 2, 3, and 4. We're just like, hey, yeah, what can go wrong? Everything's great in real estate. And he's like, it was interesting watching him pull me aside and be like, hey, slow down there, Turbo. you haven't seen the other side of this. It's, what are you talking about? I know everything there is to know. And it wasn't until, 2008 that I realized that I didn't really know anything until you go through the downturn. And, that changed my perspective a lot.
How did it change your perspective? I mean, I know a lot of people lost a lot of money. What happened? How did that affect real estate?
Well, listen, I mean, I think everyone saw what happened in 2008, 9, 10, the foreclosures,
No, I mean, were you losing places, or were you having...
we didn't lose anything because, he sort of saw how frothy it was getting. And, when he started saying, hey, it's starting to sound too good to be true, he pulled back a lot. He wasn't investing. He basically kept a lot of his equity off the table. And, so we came out of the downturn with, a huge balance sheet, cash. Wow. And so that's why we were able to buy things like Doral and all of these other great assets that we bought, coming out of that downturn. So, we turned that into a profit center. We took the bad times and made them good times.
Wow.
A lot of other people didn't have that ability. And I mean, it's that kind of thinking that, we probably need in our government as well. And that's, that's why he's so passionate about doing this. I mean, he understands how to work both sides, not just say, okay, bad times are bad times and we got to deal with it. But, bad times are bad times. How do we capitalize on it?
Real estate in Manhattan is crazy. When is it going to end?
I don't know, but man,
it's unbelievable. Even when the rest of the country was suffering in the real estate market, Manhattan continued to either stay level or go up.
Well, and the new norm is just so, I remember, during the last cycle when everything was crazy, you talked about a building selling for $3,000 a foot. It was like, oh my God, that's crazy. And there's 2 or 3 of them that are able to do it. And, now everyone's trying to, we're like, well, we're building a building. It's in a sort of average location. Hey, guess what? It's going to be $5,000 a foot. Congrats. I don't know, but it's going to end someday.
Do people understand out there? We talk about this from time to time. You can't get a 1-bedroom apartment in New York for less than $1 million for the most part.
And if you find it, you're doing well. Like it's
a 1-bedroom.
It's crazy. It's insane now. I don't get it.
$1 million per bedroom, basically.
Which is why we're not even building in New York right now. I mean, we're maintaining our assets in our hotels and spending a lot of time on the hotel stuff. And
here you go. The average apartment price in Manhattan hit a record $1.72 million in 2014. That's the average.
Yeah.
That's if you want to live in New York, that is the average apartment price.
But if you look at new construction, meaning buildings going up now, not old buildings from the 50s and 60s.
Sure.
If you look at new building construction,
you can't touch them.
I mean, you're talking literally. I'd say average $25,000 to $3,000 a foot.
Yeah, I looked in a couple of places. I'm trying to move. I'm moving, and a lot of them with that much a foot. I'm like, what?
Oh, by the way, now you're getting that in some of the outer boroughs too. You go across the river.
Well, they said Brooklyn's more expensive in some.
Brooklyn
in a lot
can
of
be
cases.
expensive. I've looked at Harlem. It's not cheap in Harlem. I mean, some areas might be, and you get better, but it's still expensive, man.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, New York is.
Well, but again, the tax side of things is the other whammy, right? I mean, when you talk New York City state taxes, I mean it's an expensive proposition living here now.
When I see what they want you to pay on a closing, and there's something called a mortgage transfer tax, which is when you have to give the fucking state a piece of it when a mortgage is transferred.
Well, transfer the mortgage, and then there's also the mansion tax in New York, right? If you're over $1 million, which, hey, like you said, you can't find a 1-bedroom for $1 million today. So is a 1-bedroom in New York just because it's expensive? Is it really a mansion?
Yeah, that's not.
Give me a break.
That's not fair. That's what people have to pay just for a 1-bedroom, and then they slide what's called this mansion tax at you.
What is the mortgage transfer? Can you explain that to me? Because my broker told me that, and I wanted to spit on him, but I'm like, it's not his fault.
No, it's not. It's not his fault. It's honestly, it's just a fee. That's all it is. It's another tax. It's a fee. It's a way for the state to make money. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just, hey, we can do this. And
so if you sell me a property and I buy it, I just have to give the government a percentage of that, even though I'm paying taxes on it.
Yes.
It's fucking
disgusting.
sickening.
Yeah.
Enough already. His dad made harsh comments about Mexico and that wall he wants to build. Yeah.
How's he going to get the Mexicans to pay for it?
You know what? Like I said, I'm not his policy guy. I'm not sitting there discussing these things with him.
Are you prepared to travel the world?
Yes.
Vice president, according to Jim.
You're going to be the guy traveling the world
in this thing. I may be vice president, but
you're going to have to go to a lot of funerals around the world.
I'm going to be building buildings. That's what I do. I don't see myself in politics anytime soon, just because I'm not good at splitting that baby either, and it's. It's an interesting world in which we live right now, boys.
No, but I want to see you do it. I need a powerful friend. I don't have any powerful friends.
Yeah, we need powerful friends.
I need a powerful friend of influence.
Some powerful friends, Jimmy. I've seen you here. You get some good
guests. We got
guests.
Rich Voss, and we got
good guests. They
Bob
forget me by the time I interview somebody, and I'll see them in the hallway and go hi. They'll go, "Who are you?"
Yeah,
they get scared.
They won't associate with you outside of the building. No. On air, they look at it as PR, I guess, but outside of the building, it's a different story.
Sure. Donald, he's talking about people that forget soon as right on the other side of that glass.
Well, I saw you.
It's the strangest
I saw you a couple
ever.
months ago. We were sitting on a plane next to each other, and I came up to you and said, "Hey, Jimmy, what's going on?" Right?
Yeah, we saw each other.
I'm not afraid to say hi to Jim outside
on
of
the plane. No, we did. We said hello.
Next to you.
Yeah.
You still fly commercial. I remember that from last time we talked.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were going to Florida.
No, I mean him.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fly commercial every day, is it?
Private. Let's go. Let's step it up a little bit.
It'd been, honestly,
I'm hearing
for
great
a
things
lot of
about
things,
these private planes.
For a lot of things, and for, it just doesn't make sense, right? The expense of it versus, if I can go somewhere for $600, why would I spend $50,000 to do the same thing? It's just not that much more convenient to me.
Are you
but
frugal?
That's just not the way.
Are you frugal?
No, it's just not the way I was brought up. I mean, by the way, I'm not saying it's even an option, meaning I don't think my father would say, "Hey, take the plane if you wanted to." Right?
Yeah.
But, for every business trip that I have to do every day, honestly, to me, it doesn't make sense. For him, it obviously does. Half of that's branding, right? I mean, it's part of what he does.
What's your airline? What's the safest airline out there right now? If you're traveling
Honestly,
that much,
I say Trump Air.
Yes,
Trump Air.
Trump Air is. When I fly with my dad, it's certainly that's the best of them by a long shot. But the way I look at it, honestly, they all let you down eventually. There's not one. The international ones tend to be better. Some of those, they're just for a plethora of reasons, they don't have the buildup of nonsense that we have in this country. They can just sort of say, okay, well, you're a little past your prime, time to go. You're a little jaded with your job. You're no longer happy here, time to go. You're not locked into life. So, but I honestly, I'd say they all let you down eventually. And when you sit there and talk about the delays and it's just not a well-run machine.
Mm-hmm. There it is.
Yeah. I've never flown private in my life. I don't mind flying commercial. It's a little annoying because of the scheduling.
Yeah.
I had one chance and I blew it off.
Why?
Because I wanted to stay in Boston longer. It was Fareed, who used to be a big shot at CBS Radio.
Oh.
We were up there for something. He's like, "Hey, come back with me. We're leaving, this afternoon, whatever." I was like, I haven't seen people up here in a while, so I stayed.
Yeah.
I would love to go on a private plane just to check it out.
Well, one day, maybe, Air Force One will get, we'll broadcast from there. We'll see.
Well, let's solidify our friendship and let's take a trip somewhere, Donald Trump Jr. On the private plane. Me and Jimmy are ready. We're ready.
I was going to say, I've offered the fishing trip a bunch, and he hasn't taken me up on it, but the private plane, all of a sudden, he's really interested. He's much more apt to call if the private plane is involved.
Honestly, if we're breaking this down, I'd rather go to Roscoe and hang out with you. I think that'd be a really good time.
Well, you let me know, man. I'm in.
We'll figure it out. Maybe in the fall, finally.
Yeah.
When the fishing gets good again.
There's very few people that can get me to Roscoe, New York, and none with penises.
It's just chill.
Yes.
You just chill out for a day.
I wish I enjoyed it, dude. I wish I loved that lifestyle.
But you can sit out, on a river for the day. Go, we'll go make a bonfire. Take the kids,
Nice restaurants.
Yeah. Honestly, there's a couple really, there's a couple really nice places. I go up to the Riverside Cafe a lot. It's 5 minutes from my place. Like, just great food. You're overlooking the river. Like, it's as beautiful as it gets.
That's the place me and Bobby went.
Probably.
I believe it was, yeah.
Probably,
The food was amazing.
Sort of, just outside of Roscoe.
Yeah.
And it's, great place, good people. And, again, for me, I like being able to pop in somewhere where, when I go in, it's sort of like Cheers. They're like, "Hey, Don, what's going on? How was the fishing today?" Not, there's no ulterior motive. There's no, it's very different.
And now that you can be vice president, man, wow.
Listen, according to Jim,
start picking up your tab.
That's right. I want that out there because I called it first. President Trump, and Vice President Trump.
Yes.
I don't know. I think, I'd rather go maybe, Secretary of Defense, but go back to old school and call it Secretary of War. I think that's a lot more aggressive. It sounds, it sounds a lot cooler, don't you think? Like, Secretary of War.
When did they change that?
I don't know, but it's probably a politically correct thing to say. Oh, it's defending. I don't know. I like that the old way. It was
because that's what it was.
It had a lot better ring to it.
Our stupid language in this country. That's what it was.
Correct. It was Secretary of War for the first 100-something years, and then we get a little politically correct, and we have to say it's defense. But
all right, we don't think your dad's a racist with the Mexican comments, even though a few people are still calling about that.
Because you know what? Like I said, it's convenient for today. If you're on the other side of thing, and there's even remotely, a chance, that's the first thing everyone says. Oh, it's racist, and like that's like the kiss of death. Like, and everyone, other than people like my father, I mean, they cower from that. They live in fear of being called for having an opinion. You know, whether it's so, and again, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist in this world. I mean, it's clear that it does, but it's, you know, there's a lot of people that have that problem, and it's still an issue that we got to deal with, and it's not just a one-sided thing. I mean, but you can't just use that every time. Not everything is always racist. That's just not true. And that's what we're spinning it. And
it was a very brave thing for him to say, considering that he probably has a lot of Mexicans working in these buildings. Yeah. So, I mean,
well, but again, he's not talking about people that are just here doing. He's talking about, you know, again, there's a big element coming across, and if you speak to people that are on the Texas borders, you know, not all of, and he said it very clearly. Like, listen, I'm sure there's some great people too. You know, just trying to do better for themselves. I understand that. But, you know, there's a disproportionate amount of people that are bad, you know, relative to society coming across and doing the same thing. And, you know, we can't just arbitrarily let everyone in here. And honestly, I don't think that anyone can, with a straight face, other than, again, if they're playing politics, can with a straight face say that that's not a reasonable stance.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
When you're speaking honestly, and when you're speaking just kind of off script and you're talking, you're going to a lot of times say things that people are going to go, what? That's how it is.
Well, and that's politics. It's how can I spin what he said? Even though I know he meant X, Y, Z, I can maybe say, okay, and especially when you're not talking about written stuff, right? Well, if I move the comma, it means something else. And so because he said it, I'm going to say that the comma was here rather than here.
I'm saying if he's talking, because he kind of just says what he wants to say.
Right. Yeah.
And the risk you take with that is that you're giving people a lot of stuff to jump on. But if everyone just kind of said what they wanted to say, that people would usually have an equal number of things to pounce on. We'd all say things kind of wrong or say something that sounds right. That's just how it is.
And he's not going to back down from that. He'll just go, you're a slob for thinking that I'm a racist.
Yeah, you're an idiot. And
you're an idiot.
But everyone else jumps on the bandwagon. They, oh my God, racist. Because again, I mean, that's everyone's, you know, pardon the pun, but that's everyone's trump card today. If there's even a tinge of that, you can throw it out there, and that's like the boom, it's over. You can't respond to that. It's the do you beat your wife question. You know,
when is he going to be on TV again? That's all I want to know.
No, I'm sure it won't be long.
I can't wait.
I'm sure it won't be long. I would say within the next few minutes. If I'm looking at the 24-hour news cycle since he announced,
my favorite, and you know, all the sites had the 10 best things your dad said, but the John Kerry stuff made me laugh so hard. He's 72 and doing bike races and breaking his leg.
But is he wrong? Like, you know,
no, it was funny too.
You're doing these things. You're there on a mission to do something. You know,
I forgot the exact quote, but it was funny. And he's like,
I remember it was good.
He goes, yeah, I won't be doing that.
I won't be doing that.
Here it is. And then you know, speaking of John Kerry, and then goes into a bicycle race at 72 years old and falls and breaks his leg. I won't be doing that. And I promise I will never be in a bicycle race. That I can tell you. That's just great.
It was great, but that's what you get from him. I mean, he had a 10-minute sort of speech prepared and started looking at it, and it's just he's not going to stick to that script, and that's good, and I think that's refreshing. And a lot of people were
they were mad that he was winging it too. Some people were like, I just went out there. And was
why would you be mad about as opposed to everyone else who's sitting there reading from a teleprompter because God forbid they actually went off the cuff and had an opinion on something that was.
Well, that's what I said. I mean, every word with these other guys, they think about, they overthink about.
And they got 40 guys sitting there editing every last word for, well, I got to change this word because God forbid someone says that this could offend this 1.2% of the population. You know, that's not his style. And by the way, that's the problem we face.
I said in the beginning, he's going to make all the other guys more honest. So,
sure.
All right, we got to take a break, Donald Trump Jr. Always a pleasure seeing you, sir.
Likewise, guys. Good being back.
I would imagine you got to get yourself to work.
I do. It's it's still Friday. You know, I got to get in there.
How much is that suit? I just need to know.
I don't know.
You know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Come on, give us a little something.
Honestly, not crazy. Probably $1,500, something like that. I mean, it's not a cheap suit, but it's not crazy by today's standard. Like, I'm not one of these guys wearing $20,000 suits. Like, it's not my style either, you know?
They go up to $20,000?
Well, there's some crazy people out there, you know, but...
I spent a lot on a suit once. I bought myself a nice suit one time.
Like a gentleman?
And what happened?
You know, wherever I went, there I was. I was still just little Jimmy Norton in a much nicer suit.
It wasn't a game changer, huh? It wasn't a game changer.
No.
The women didn't flock.
And you probably bought it when you were a little bigger, so now you can't even really wear it.
No,
properly.
I can't. I fit it perfectly now. It was like I was probably about a few 10 pounds heavier when I got it, and I got it at Barney's in L.A. I forget what I was doing for Leno, but I was like, I just want to get a great suit. I never owned an amazing suit. I own shit suits.
Are you sick of wearing suits?
No, I only
I have one suit, and if I wear it twice a year, I get mad at myself.
Honestly, like I am I err on more informal. You know, if you see me on the weekends, I'm on a golf course or something like that. But like if I'm on my weekends, I'm in Carhartts and a t-shirt usually. So I tend to err on informal. I wish I could go a little bit more casual. It's not really part of our uniform, so I respect that. I understand it, but yeah, no, I'm not. I wouldn't wear a suit Monday, Tuesday if I didn't need to. And it wasn't sort of part of the uniform of what I do and what I need to do to respect and honor the brand and stuff that I work for when I'm speaking to other people in similar circumstances. But I don't wake up on Saturday and say, I really rather overdress than underdress. I'm exactly the opposite.
You know what I've never learned to do besides behave in a purely heterosexual fashion? Is I've never. How do you?
It sounds it sounds a little bit like that.
It seems he wants to confess something.
No.
That's like 2 or 3 times. I mean, we had the Roscoe penis comment. We had 2 or 3 times.
Well, I said without with a penis.
He's really trying to go with this like really strong hetero thing today.
I feel like he wants to confess something. I don't know.
Are we missing something, little Jimmy?
No.
He's all svelte and sexy now. Like, what's going on?
Yes, Jimmy.
The nobody with a penis could get me up there, man. I would only go up there with a girl. But now I was just kind of contradicting myself. Just poking a little fun at the old Jimster. But,
you can't be the Jimster if I'm the Opester.
That's the right. It's perfect. But no, I was thinking about tying a tie. Like that's the worst part about wearing. I don't know how to fucking tie a tie.
I literally usually don't wear a tie. What I'll do is I'll leave a couple in my office in my closet there, and like if I go up to something with my father who's a little bit more formal about that, I'll throw one on out of respect, and or if I'm meeting with people. If I'm sitting on conference calls all day, I don't need something choking me all day. It's like it's not my.
I can't tie one. I don't. Really? I can't comprehend how it's done.
I can teach you how to do that. That I can do in my sleep. I don't even need a mirror anymore. But
why can't they just make a real expensive, nice clip-on tie? What's the difference if they use the same material, but it's a clip-on?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not being serious.
It's never happened. But yeah, with my little guy, when he puts on his clip-on every once in a while for formal events, I'm like, man, that would be nice. Like it's so much easier. You can go. It goes on and off really quickly.
And no one would know in the end.
No, it'd be awesome.
Clip-on ties rule.
Yes.
That's honestly, in the end, once you learn how to tie and you do it a lot. Like I could do it in about 4.5 seconds. So there's really not that much of a time saving.
My manager will try to help me sometime. I'm going to do a Windsor knot.
A Windsor knot.
And literally, it stops at my nipples. It's like I look like a fool. When you tie a real knot, he's a fool. Yeah. It's short and fat. My tie. I hate a short, fat tie.
It depends on the tie. Listen, you got to, if the tie's too thick and you're not a big guy, you can't get away with that knot that's like 4 inches across because you look like an imbecile. But yeah, you got
nothing worse than someone else doing your tie for you and then handing it to you and go, try this.
Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing.
You don't feel like a man. Yes, Club Soda Kenny.
You know who makes a nice tie?
Ooh.
Donald Trump, the Trump collection.
The Trump ties are quite.
That's right, they are nice.
He admitted that he's going to be the vice president.
Well,
no, Jim admitted that I'm going to be the vice president nominee.
So. No, Mr. Vice President, Club Soda Kenny officially, publicly endorsed your father for the presidency, and I concur that you should be his running mate.
Well, I appreciate it.
Let's get that out to the press. You can call us a slob next week for suggesting
I'm sure I will. We'll come up with something good. We'll create a little controversy, and then I'll be back on in a week or two, and we'll figure it out. But
the Trump collection available at Macy's, I believe.
That's correct.
I forgot you guys had ties.
Yeah.
How about you send a few over?
You want some ties? I'll send you some ties. Will you wear them?
The chocolate strawberries,
or are you just going to re-gift them?
No,
if you wear them, I'll send them.
I just need one. I need one that will support my weight.
How great would that be? Sorry. Just a visual of you hanging yourself in a truck.
You'd be a hero to Reddit.
I think that would make me laugh. I would be in mourning, but I would have a little chuckle underneath.
There would be some amusement factor. Not that I'm happy about anyone committing suicide, but if Jimmy did it with our tie, I'd say, I would see the dark humor in there.
It wouldn't hurt sales.
Look, the chocolate strawberries in Chicago were terrific, but how about a few ties for the boys?
Well, I'll send a few ties. I'll send some ties. I'll coordinate with Roland. I'll get you some.
We're big fans of handouts.
Listen, if it's for free, it's for me. I'm not afraid to admit it. I get it.
I don't like a good handout.
No.
That's what everyone says.
No.
It's not true.
Everyone, it doesn't matter who you are, you like something
likes
for
a handout
free
in a certain way. The problem with handouts is, there have to be sort of the no strings attached handouts, because there's nothing worse than the favor that then, the reciprocation is expected to be like 300 times X, and that's annoying.
Yeah, you get a call, you got to show up at the morgue, and you realize Sonny's been shot, and you got to fix his face. You're like, oh no, why did I take anything from this guy?
Not good, exactly.
E-Rock Instagrammed a Donald Trump tie, and he says, the man makes great ties. I have his ties, and he's got my vote. Trump 2016, a real American.
I like it. Thank you, E-Rock.
Hashtag real American. So he's trying to get something going for you.
Appreciate it.
We should, if we're down to talking about ties, maybe we should wrap up.
Yeah,
until next time.
We've pretty much run out of stuff, apparently. Otherwise,
are you promoting anything, Donald Trump Jr.?
I'm not, man. I just came in. You guys called me. I'm happy to come in and say hi.
It's been way too long.
With you guys, so.
I don't know why it's been so long.
Well, no, that's partially my fault. You guys called a couple times, and I was just literally, I was in like Indonesia or something like that. So,
yeah.
But let me know. I'll be back.
What the hell is going on in Indonesia?
Just working on some stuff
I'm
all
doing
over the
a gig
world.
there.
You know.
Yeah?
All right.
Oh.
I was like, wow. I was like, I'm not sure that your humor would fly over there. Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a break.
Good seeing you, man.
Absolutely.
Hey,
Donald Trump Jr., everyone.
Thanks.
Jim, you got anything to plug? You good?
Just my gigs, Pittsburgh, the Borgata, a whole bunch of stuff.
JimNorton.com. Can we just play that song, Dennis Falcone?
Friday.
Jim Norton said, fuck this place, and walked out. So I said, you know what? Why don't I bring in Dennis Falcone and do some old school radio?
How are you, pal?
Motorin! Did you like Donald Trump Jr.?
He was great.
Yeah.
When do the ties come in?
You think you're going to get a free tie?
Well, I wear ties every weekend when I do gigs. All the time.
You know what? I will give you my Donald Trump tie if that ever happens. I don't think he's going to be sending over ties, though.
100% silk makes a nice match.
I think that was just for radio.
Think so?
Radio. Eric.
Hi.
Is in studio. E-Rock, who's now a radio star in his own right.
Thank you.
You got a show this Friday night?
That would be tonight.
You know why I just said this Friday night? Because I don't work a lot of Fridays. Jesus, to me, I feel like it's Thursday. Tonight, yes, of course.
Tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific.
And it's a 3-hour show, right?
Yeah.
I gave the blessing to move it to 3 hours.
You did. Thank you very much.
Well, I got a little buzz on the show. You son of a bitch. I was hoping you were going to fail miserably and then we can make fun of you. But the fact is, you're doing very, very well.
Yes, and next year's our 1-year anniversary.
What do you mean?
For the show.
This show?
Yeah, my show.
What do you mean? You've been doing it a year?
As of next week, yeah. We'll be here 1 year.
What?
Isn't that awesome?
Wow.
Me and Jimmy are up to a year.
Yeah, 4th of July.
Yeah, the 4th of July. Is
mine started before everything blew up.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was in June.
God, no one cared.
Yeah.
First few months, no one cared. And then all of a sudden the buzz hit. No, I'm just kidding. Eric's doing a great job. What do you have on the Trump Hotel in Chicago? You remember that trip, right?
Yeah, Chicago was a lot of fun. I remember you invited Sam and I up to check out the room that you guys got because it was much different than the rooms that everybody else got.
We were trying to rub it in.
Yeah, and so we go into this huge room, walk-in closet, huge walk-in bathroom, great view of the river from your room.
May I interrupt?
Yes, Kenny took issue with what you said there.
Yeah, GH, that's no reflection upon you.
Thank you, Kenny.
You take care of your staff and your employees.
Yeah, what about that? I do.
I wasn't saying you didn't.
I give everyone radio shows.
Exactly.
Oh, fuck. Let me enjoy a bigger room.
That was a company decision to put the talent in a fancy hotel and put the staff in a low-class hotel.
Oh, you weren't even in Trump?
We weren't in that building.
I forgot about that.
Well, and let's go one step further. The vice president, when he was here, he talks a good game, but if you remember, he wouldn't even give us a discount at his hotel in Chicago.
All right. But, I'm becoming friends with the guy, so please don't blow up my spot.
Yeah, we're waiting on free ties.
Yes, we're going to get free ties.
Well, I threw the plug in, so he should.
He gave us nice chocolate covered strawberries, and they were in the shape, and then there were other chocolate pieces that made it kind of like a mini city, and it was all chocolate.
Yeah, well, that was
getting
lovely.
Back
to Eric's story now.
And then Eric, then I showed you guys my room that we got.
Right. So as you're showing Sam, how big the closets are, and the shower and the bathroom. I go over and I'm looking out the window and see the great view of the river, and I see next to it is this like elegant bar set up, and right on the top is all these fancy foods and everything. So I'm like, well, if we're here, I just started opening up this, the $6 to $10 bottles of water, whether I was drinking them or not. The $14 bottle of gummy bears and everything else that was there.
Eric was very obnoxious. That was the mini bar they set up. That was for anybody that stayed in the hotel, and you decided to to
I figured it was
help
all
yourself.
I didn't know that you weren't being taken care of. Per se at that point.
We got the chocolate covered strawberries.
I figured there was no sweat.
And a little swizzle. I remember there was some chocolate swizzle that was part of the chocolate strawberry thing. No, all that shit you did, I had to pay for in the end, you son of a bitch.
I took care of it, GH. I charged it to the company.
Oh, thank you, Kenny. Yeah. So I didn't pay for it in the end.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, because he has his own water line, too.
Trump does?
Yeah, it was like in a cobalt blue bottle, had some kind of like diamond thing on the front.
Smart.
That's for Trump water.
Smart stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure it was really expensive.
Yeah.
But it didn't taste any different.
Falcone, you got a notepad in front of you.
Well, just taking some things, what's going on this weekend, Father's Day. What are you doing for Dad's Day? Kids taking care of you this weekend?
I already did Father's Day because the wife is traveling this weekend. So I already did Father's Day. I got a really nice bike.
Well, that's nice.
I upgraded my bike. So all the bikers out there are going to want to know what I'm riding now. I'll tweet the picture. I forgot the name.
You go on those bike trails out on Long Island out to Montauk Point?
No.
That one road
Extra
all the way
Park?
out?
No.
No?
The old days, I did the one, this is too local. People don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
The one that takes you into Jones Beach.
Okay.
They have a nice bike path along whatever the fuck that road is. I forgot.
Was that Ocean Parkway?
Yeah, probably Ocean Parkway. Sure. What else there?
We got barbecues this weekend. A lot of things going on. Hopefully we'll have some good weather. But we were talking about E-Rock. Who's your guest tonight? You kind of jumped off the track there. So we want to get back to the cross promote.
All right, thank you. But it's your time to shine, and you're giving it up.
Well, because
you could say anything, and you're talking about barbecues. It's summer. That's just
summer.
A given.
Hitting the beach.
Why would you bring up barbecues? Make that topic interesting enough before these people turn their dials.
Well, because what's great to have on a barbecue? What do you like to have on a barbecue? Bratwurst, chicken, sausage, little sausage, right? Wrap up the stuffed peppers, put them on the grill.
You know what you say about a barbecue? You say it on Monday. Oh, I went to this great barbecue. We had a great time.
No, it was
and that's
great
about
food.
the extent of the
Great
barbecue
food.
conversation.
I got a brand new barbecue. I did some burgers. So why is that? That's not fascinating to anybody.
The gas barbecue?
That's not interesting.
Do the gas barbecue or the?
Are you spinning at any barbecues?
Not this weekend. Not this weekend.
What would you, if you were, what would you be playing? What are the big summer songs?
Big summer songs. Well, I'd be playing also like hot stuff. Started up with the weather, right? Summer of '69. I get things cranking with Kid Rock, little Kenny Chesney music because he's got that country kind of groove going with the beach. Jimmy Buffett, Beach Boys, of course. You can't have a beach barbecue without playing Kokomo by the Beach Boys. We've been through this before. One of their great songs, #1 song in the 1980s. But more importantly,
what are the odds you would get a charcoal barbecue? Okay,
No, don't do charcoal.
And roll it into your fucking house and close all the windows.
No, don't do charcoal. It's
a la
easier.
Brad Delp.
It's easier. You just
Please
crank
do
up
a
the
Brad
gas.
Delp for us.
No, why do I want to do that?
It would make for fantastic content for this show. Oh, did you hear what happened to Dennis Falcone this past weekend?
What's your number one?
He finally said, "Holy fuck, I hate my life," and he fired up a charcoal barbecue and he rolled it into his house.
No, actually, what I am doing here, though, behind the scenes, hopefully you'll
talk about some shitty thing that no one gives a fuck about. Why go with that bit?
No.
What would you play as you're fading out?
What would
be your last song?
Yeah.
Let me see.
This is as the smoke is filling the room from the charcoal barbecue.
You're laying on the floor looking up at the ceiling, the smoke coming down. You can barely breathe. What's the last song you want to hear?
The last song I'd want to hear?
Yes.
Let's see. How about no, that's the end of the
as life leaves your body, not as your last show on a radio
the last
station.
I thought I was on Now I'm Gone and play Goodnight Sweetheart or something like that, or Closing Time or Green Day.
No, you're not on the radio.
Last Dance.
Your own personal pick, not what people want to
Never
hear.
Can Say Goodbye. I like that one by Gloria Gaynor. That just gets the place pumping. And the last song of the night, and then they say we're having such a good time.
We're talking
we
about you lying on the floor as the smoke is filling the room from the charcoal barbecue.
This is the last song you will ever hear, not what you would play to end a wedding.
Oh, Fire, Ohio Players.
That would be it as you're laying there?
So you're going to go out with a theme.
Yeah.
It never stops.
A theme is always good.
You don't have any personal favorite song.
Well, I would try to keep it along the theme. So when they say, when the guy died, he actually went out with the fire song.
Fuck the theme.
They're not going to write
what
that
song
you were
do you
playing
want
that
to
song
hear
in the paper.
Right.
Oh, what song would I want to hear?
As you're dying from the charcoal barbecue.
Dying from the charcoal. I really haven't given this much thought. Have
Kenny?
you?
He'll play Help by the Beatles.
Jesus. What do you got on this shooting? Say something controversial today. What do you got on the shooting?
Well, what you guys were saying, why don't they track people like this down beforehand? I mean, this guy just didn't.
You can't track people down.
But it had some,
Look, we wish we could figure out which one is going to be the next one. We all know someone like this kid.
Then they go, well, he was off his medication.
You
know
can't
what I say,
You
GH?
can't do anything to him.
You know what I say?
What?
I blame his barber because of that bowl haircut.
Holla!
It's enough to make anybody crazy.
He cut his own hair. It's obvious. That's a sign that you're nuts when you start cutting your own hair. Do you cut your own hair, Dennis?
No.
He doesn't have much left.
No, I go to a barber shop.
He treats it though.
All right, that was.
Hey, Jimmy, come on in, pal. Doing a Friday show.
He was talking about barbecues.
Headed into the weekend.
I'm like, that's just like having Jimmy still on the fucking show.
I just did it. I had to do a couple of phoners, and usually we're off on Fridays just to promote the Borgata and other gigs. And
Who'd you talk to? Anyone fun?
A guy who I really like, this dude Angelo. He's down in Angelo Cataldi in.
Yeah.
I think he broadcasts out of the Borgata. He's a Philly guy. Really, he's been on for years down there, and he's a big supporter, and he loves the radio show. He's a good dude, man.
We spent time beating the shit out of all the bad radio guys. We might as well start talking about some that might be good.
I like guys that aren't afraid to mention this show, and by afraid I mean like they're not. People say, "Well, don't mention the show, don't mention other radio shows." But the guys that be like, "Hey, man, you're with Opie now," or they say Opie and Anthony, like those guys, I like because they embrace this.
They're being honest.
They're not being dicks, and they embrace the serious platform and whatever. They embrace the serious platform. Send that tie quick, Don.
I like that, Jim.
Oh, what a fucking
Falcone
zilch.
just got a hard on.
I like that, Jim.
You love when we promote the company, don't you?
Oh, I should embrace the front of a train after saying that. Embrace this serious platform. Am I right or wrong, Nagel?
But you know what Jim was saying?
Heard you slept in. Go ahead, sorry.
Years ago, you would never mention another radio station.
Right.
You know that. You would get slammed for that. But I tell you, one guy who did break that open was Scott Shannon, though, when he first came to New York.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, you didn't do that.
Whatever.
You just didn't do that.
I always did it.
Well, because you were a shock jock.
I'm going to pat my
Attaboy, Danny. Fuck him. Tell him. Shock jock.
There you go. That's whether you like it or not.
I'm going to pat myself on the back. I always fucking talked about the other guys.
He was a shock jerk.
Right, exactly. And a slob, according to Donald Trump. Fucking Dr. Steve is so needy. He writes me during the Donald Trump Jr. interview, and he goes, I would give anything to be called a slob by Donald Trump.
How about an ass by Jim Norton? We can make that happen.
That one's easy to do. I want to bring Jim Norton up to speed. I was desperate, so I brought in Dennis Falcone. And I'm like, all right, we could talk about anything. He starts talking about barbecues. So then, as a radio guy, I'm like, all right, that's what he's going to give me to work with. Let me try to figure this out quickly. So I did a Brad Delp thing, and I said, how about you roll a charcoal barbecue into your house and kill yourself? And then it led to, what would your last song be as the life from your body is leaving? And then he had to come up with what? Fire?
Came up with Fire by the Ohio Players.
He wanted to keep it with theme. Keep a theme going.
Yeah, I wouldn't keep a theme going. I don't think you need to keep a theme when committing suicide.
Right. So what would your song be?
Unless you want to play one for the rest of us by
Celebration?
Oh, no, not Celebration. I was trying to think
that's
of
a
his
good
name.
start, though.
God damn it. Jimmy something. I forgot his name. Fuck me.
Give me a little more. I'll help you out.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your life.
That guy.
Jimmy Soul.
There you go. Thank you.
Soul.
Why do I keep thinking Jimmy Two-Tone? I'm like, no.
Jimmy
Tommy
Soul.
Two-Tone. Yeah, no.
Jimmy Soul had a very short life. We learned that the other day.
How good
Died
is
of a
that
heart
song?
attack at around 45 years old. And never had another hit.
Very politically incorrect song by today's standards, right?
Why?
If you want to make don't make a pretty woman your wife. If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, you have to find a woman who could cook.
Oh, is that in the song?
No, you're saying no, but he's just always making
What's up,
Hi,
Judah?
Yeah.
I was just telling Greg, oh yeah, we're usually not here on Fridays. That's why we didn't know you were coming in.
Yeah. Well, I ran into Judah in the lobby yesterday. I'm like, what the fuck? Where have you been?
How was,
good to see you,
did
man.
you just do
Good to see
Slay?
you.
Yeah.
It's odd because the way you feel racially.
I've changed, Jamie. I've changed. No, it was good. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
What did you guys talk about?
Different stuff. A little bit of racial stuff and how just the general racial climate in the country.
Yeah.
A little bit of that.
Because of the shooting?
Because of that, and then just in
but
general.
Don't you think the kid is crazy before racist?
I don't know which comes first. He's both.
He's obviously both.
Yeah, but I don't know which.
But I think they should talk about mental illness on the same footing as him being a racist, because he obviously was fucking nuts.
Yeah,
he's a crazy person,
psychopath. Yeah,
he cuts his own hair. I think. I don't think any.
Not a good job.
I don't think any barber would give you that look.
Yeah, not a good job at cutting hair.
That is the earmark of a psychopath. Is that stupid bowl cut? Like if you have that and you're over the age of 7, you probably own a weapon.
Yeah,
you're a creep.
Yeah. That's Dennis Falcone. He's old school radio. We bring him in here every once in a while.
Hi, how are you?
How's it going? I'm all right.
I think I bring him in here every once in a while just to annoy Jimmy. I think that's why I do.
But it doesn't work anymore because I genuinely like Denny.
Yeah.
I tried. I gave you that book yesterday.
You're a good man, Denny.
What book?
What book?
The Guide to Newport, Rhode Island. Remember you guys were talking about
I didn't take that home. Thank you.
What's he going to do with that?
Well, what's he going to do with it?
Great read.
That's a great read. Great read.
Because the other day Jimmy was saying he needs to go on a nice, relaxing vacation, and somebody in the studio said Newport, and I've been there. So
That
I
was
just wanted to,
Natasha.
Yes, very nice, relaxing place. So I just gave it to him.
What would you do in Newport?
Oh, there's a lot of sightseeing. There's the mansions up there.
Yeah, you walk the mansions. Yeah, they take you on a tour of all these decadent,
great seafood
mansions,
and that's where the America's Cup takes place. The yachting. It's just a beautiful, very, very, really nice, relaxing area, and that's what Jim says he was looking to do.
I saw Minute Bowl in Newport, Rhode Island.
The late Minute Bowl.
I was amazed how fucking tall and skinny this guy was in person.
7'8".
7'8". What did he dive? He hit his head on a what?
On a fan.
He's tall. He's tall.
I was amazed how thin he was, though. His waist was probably like 24 inches.
Yeah, I think when he first came to the NBA, he was like 180 pounds or less. And that's at
7'8".
Yeah.
Imagine that.
And he had to.
I was more amazed at how thin he was than how tall he was.
Yeah. What did he die of?
Probably from
heart problems.
I think
from being tall.
Yeah, he was too tall.
That's a real thing. You don't. If you think about it, you never see anyone walking around Manhattan that's old and above 6'4", let's say 6'5".
Short people do well.
How old
as far as longevity goes? Yeah,
you never see old fat people, and you never see old very tall people.
How old is this book?
A couple of years old.
By the way, I was watching yesterday, speaking of fat people, My 600-Pound Life. I know we've talked about it before, but God, was it upsetting. It made me so
we saw you tweeting about
angry.
It, and we brought a clip to the show for you.
Why did it make you angry?
Because this me narcissism of these fucking slobs. Fat people, I have a tremendous amount of empathy for you. I admire anyone who's really fat and begins going to the gym and working out and trying. I have a tremendous admiration because it's hard. Mm-hmm. It's the fucking hardest one. Mm-hmm. So if you're really overweight and you get the surgery and you're attempting to do something, man, I love it. I see a big fat guy in the gym or whatever, like a big fat lady. They get a lot of respect because people are like, yes, look at you. This is what you're doing. It's great that you're trying this and you're doing this for real. But these people who got the surgery and then didn't want to get out of bed and month after month, and you see the doctor talking to them, and they're like, I know it's good for me, and these fucking enabling slob family members, this fucking worthless son, and this enabling slob of a fucking husband, just bringing her food to keep her fat. Like, these people are absolutely hateable. They're detestable.
That sounds horrible. They'll be like with drug addicts, just people just.
It'd be like if you were in bed,
giving you stuff constantly.
If you're in bed and someone just kept bringing you heroin, because they were afraid of you yelling at them.
Yeah, and you want your heroin, and And
the other part of that too, they don't know what that means for their lives if they do end up getting healthy and losing all the weight. That plays into that too.
Yep, narcissism. It's all based, and I say narcissism with these fucking fatzos because like they get the surgery and people try to help them and they're still whiny and complain. And I know it's an addiction and it's really hard. I'm not even attacking them for being fat. I'm really not. It's the attitude after the surgery.
Yeah.
When they're not trying to do the right thing.
It gets to a point where you got to try to do something for yourself. Make an effort.
If you lay on your back and your right foot points out at a right angle and your left foot points out at a left angle, you're a fucking disaster. How about that? That should be it. When your feet point out at the absolute opposite angles like T-squares because you're too fat to turn them to the middle, you're a fucking disaster.
We have a clip. We have the clip that drove you nuts when you were tweeting about yesterday.
If every time you have sex, you need to have fucking oxygen in your nose, you're a fucking mess. Mm-hmm. They always have oxygen.
How about if they have to sponge you down because you can't even get to the bathroom anymore?
This one girl, fucking husband's washing her twat out. It was fucking the awful.
What channel is this on?
TLC.
Well,
great channel. Yeah.
Well, it's a great channel because it truly is the freak shows.
Yeah.
But they try to make believe this is real life and this is real issues. But they put this shit on TV because it really is the sideshows.
Total exploitation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you can't just do that, so you have to spin it in a way like, no, we're trying to actually help these people.
Haven't they had 2 shows now where there's been basically pedophiles because the
19 and counting.
No,
they win
the
Emmys?
Duggar one, right? Isn't that on there?
Sure.
Yeah, the 19 and counting show, whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other one, the Honey Boo Boo, wasn't her boyfriend a pedophile?
All of a sudden, we started dating, and they took the show off there.
Yeah.
So silly. I like a Rubenesque lady. Sure, I do.
When does Rubenesque turn into too fat?
I just like a big lady. Yeah, they always fall asleep on the couch, and you could sneak in the other room. Here you go, have your ice pop.
I love how it just shuts down everything.
Yeah, everyone's sitting around with a nice, big, powerful erection.
Whoa, not everyone. Not everyone.
Look at Travis.
You're alone on that one. You're alone on this one.
Travis knows. So, what was the clip?
We got the clip. By the way, Judah Friedlander is playing Caroline's this weekend.
Yeah, tonight and tomorrow.
Oh, cool, man.
Tonight and tomorrow.
Hey, Judah is fucking hilarious. Truly a hilarious comedian.
You have good taste, Jim.
Yes, I do.
Taste, yeah.
I do. I almost did another tranny joke. I stopped myself. I'm out of control.
Yeah, it's all good.
They're right. I stink.
No, the training thing is hot right now, though.
In every way. Yeah, Judah's really funny, man.
You talked to Tracy lately?
I haven't. Tracy's, I was texting with him a couple months ago, and then I haven't heard from him since. Artie I've texted with, and then Harris Stanton, who was also in that crash. I've seen him and talked to him.
Yeah, he handled it well. He went right on the news 2 days after. Things are great.
Well, he went right back into hiding after that, though. I think he realized.
He realized?
But yeah. But
is he going to get money, Harris?
I don't know.
He has to.
I hope so too. I hope they all get. They all got as much money as they could.
I believe that they already settled, right?
So. Yeah, they did. But I'm just saying, I hope they got a fortune.
Yeah.
Is Artie all good too? He's settled.
I hope so. I think they are.
I think they all settled. Yeah. But Tracy changes his number every week, so I don't have his latest
I got a really weird question coming in about you right now.
Oh, okay.
We don't even have to go to the phone. It just says, is Judah Friedlander related to any math teacher in New York City? This is a strange question. He knows a math teacher he might be related to.
Not that I know of. Yeah. I could ask my dad, but not that I know of.
You would know.
I don't really know many of my relatives at all, actually.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. My mom's Catholic, and my dad's Jewish, and the two families were never really getting along, and we never lived near any other relatives, so I really don't know that many of them.
They weren't accepting that these two people came together from different religions?
No.
No kidding.
No.
Not even an understanding?
I'm sure there was, but it wasn't, it was like two very separate things.
My sister married a Jew.
Yeah.
My sister married a Jew.
So you can't even say it. You can't even say
a Jew. And, she was brought up Catholic, and we just all are accepting. Whatever.
No, a lot of people aren't even accepting. A lot of Jewish people aren't even accepting. Like, I remember years ago, now I'm hip to it, but at first I wasn't. Like, a Jewish girl, let's say a Jewish girl, hits on me a little bit, right? And then she finds out that my mom is not Jewish. She then starts looking at me like I'm the biggest fucking asshole in the world. Like I was faking being a Jew. Because she doesn't consider me being a Jew if my mom is not Jewish. Every Jewish people have different definitions of what's Jewish and what's not. So, yeah, me and my friend actually came up with a line how it's basically, so a lot of Jewish people won't consider you Jewish if your mom is not Jewish. Yet Hitler, if one grandparent was Jewish, he considered you Jewish. So in that sense, Hitler was actually more inclusive of Jewish people than Jewish people.
Yeah. They look at you bad. That's crazy.
Yeah, weird. Yeah.
Hope you didn't use that example with the girl.
Yeah, I did.
I did.
On purpose. On purpose.
I forgot we were only going to 10, so we got to squeeze this clip in. We have to, because we just pushed it. It's My 600-Pound Life. Pauline is overwhelmed after she's told, get up and walk or die.
This doctor has had enough of these motherfuckers. I love this guy. Ooh, does he hate them?
Yeah, let's play this clip.
Morning.
Morning.
How you doing this morning?
Okay, I guess.
What do you mean you okay, you guess?
Well, I'm still having some pains.
Well, pain after surgery is normal, okay? You need to be up and walking. If Pauline doesn't move around, a blood clot can form, and that can be fatal. She has to get up and move. If you don't walk, you're gonna develop blood clot in the leg, and we're gonna have a problem with it.
Well, I pulled a muscle in my stomach.
No excuse.
I don't have a muscle. You always think it's an excuse, but if it's hurting me, it's there.
But it's hurting you doesn't mean that you should stay in the bed.
I'm only on day 5 of a really big surgery.
Everybody goes home on day 2. You're making excuses that are not acceptable. I want you to see walking outside of this room and walk back, okay?
I can't do it that fast.
Okay, we gotta be slow with you.
It's gonna take a while.
All right, here comes the tear again.
I know, because you can't expect it that fast out of me.
You're gonna be...
Keep pausing, because I say this is not even the most hateable clip, because this is just annoying, but it's 5 days. All right.
She's had 5 days? They gave her 5 days?
5 days after surgery, major surgery. All right, whatever. She's a big whinging gorilla.
Yeah.
You go 3 months in, and she's still in bed. These fucking lumps of shit.
We picked the wrong clip there, Adrian.
No, that's okay. They stay in bed for so long. And then there was one like a year into it, and then you watch what she's eating, and you literally want to burn the house and go either get out or fucking burn to death.
Yeah.
This was another woman. Because her kid was going to graduate kindergarten, and she wanted to go to his graduation. So this self-centered fuck, instead of like really doing that so she could give something to her son, because her motive was to be a better mom to her son, she's still eating fried food in bed, and her codependent fucking slob of a husband is still standing there with his dumb gut cooking shit. Like, it makes me so angry because, first of all, insurance goes up. Insurance people are scumbags, yes. But now this doctor, he said you're going to get clots in your leg if you don't walk. So they had to bring her back into surgery and put something in there so she didn't get clots because she wouldn't attempt to get up and walk. So that's another surgery that insurance has to pay for. So how do we expect insurance companies to act when this fucking manatee doesn't want to make an effort?
Right. All you're asking is you make an effort.
And then, because the doctor is saying just try to walk.
I remember the other couple with the husband with the frying pan.
Oh, he's hateable.
Enabling and just frying up chicken and stuff.
Keep bringing her food.
I just want to add that music does make me want to stay in bed.
It really,
it doesn't really make me want to get up and move.
Judah, you raise a great point.
Yeah.
That's not motivational tunes.
Something more upbeat. They need something more upbeat. Play like the Rocky theme song or something. Get her out of there.
Find more clips of this for next week, Adrian, because we really got to go in a couple minutes, unfortunately.
I didn't even know about that show. That is...
My 600-pound life.
That is hard to watch, man.
And I was really liking the one Penny when she was going in. Because they threw her in a minivan, they drove her to Texas, and she's crying, and she's ready to, she wants to be a better mom.
Yeah.
And you feel bad for her. Like, this is a tortured existence. This woman's addiction has ruined her life. It's ruined the life of her son and her husband. It's a terrible way to live. And now she's going to try. This guy's going to give her surgery. But when it comes to the effort, when you see the lack of effort by these fucking lumps, you hate them and you lose all empathy.
Falcone, you agree, right?
And the show is doing exactly what it wants to do. They want Jimmy to get upset. If they were happy all the time, happy doesn't make for good TV, as you said.
That's a great point, too. They want you to... But I was rooting for them to do well. I really was rooting for them to have some weight loss. And I don't want to hate them. No. I actually want to be like, hey, wow, look at this. She was a big monster, and she fucking made an effort, and she dropped some weight. I'm happy for her.
Yeah.
I feel the same way with those hoarder shows. That was also on one of the other channels. Do you ever see those hoarding shows?
Yes, I can't. I've said it. I can't really watch those type of shows because I had a needy parent, so it drives me insane.
There is equally
to see
depressing.
other needy people like
and
that.
they're enraging.
Yeah.
It's the lack of effort.
Yeah. Can we? I want to squeeze a clip in before you leave, which we have to do any second now. But the George Stefan. Oh, you knew. We got to squeeze this in before we leave.
This kid is good. Adrian is on. Is good.
Yeah, he knew. Just play it. I don't even need to set this up.
Products that I'm hawking right now, we should talk about the movie.
It makes you have great eyelashes, right? But the movie really is amazing. My girls were completely engrossed by it when we were watching it, because it really does make you feel like you're inside this 11-year-old girl.
In a profoundly wholesome way. Yes.
And we'll
Yeah. Mindy, who's a comic, obviously, she didn't know what the fuck to do with that one.
Why'd she ruin the moment? Guy's trying to talk about something important.
George Stephanopoulos.
You gonna go see this movie now?
Sure I am.
Really makes you feel like you're in a 11-year-old girl. Way to go, George.
Yeah,
way to go.
Snugness is underrated.
Whoa.
Really selling the movie to you.
Sure.
Boy, I thought we could just kind of sit there.
That was a very funny way she handled it. Like she did kind of make it, because she knew what he said.
Yeah.
But she probably was like, I don't do a real true pedophile joke.
Well, it was a terrific movie. I saw it. But have you been in animations yet, Judah? Your voice?
Yeah.
I feel like you have. Which
just
one?
Small parts in. I'm trying to remember the names of the movies. I think Rio was one, and then I don't even remember the name of the movie.
I think it was Rio.
Rio.
My kids were.
And then there was one about a year and a half ago where they're flying around and there's all these like little creatures living in the woods and stuff.
That movie
I don't know.
Sucked.
Yeah, what was that?
I have to say it. When
No, I know it didn't do well.
Because every animation, you just throw it on, and then my kids are completely like whatever.
Yeah.
That one, they just
Epic. That's it.
Sucked. I'm sorry that you were in that one.
No worries. Yeah.
God, did that
what movie?
stink. It was
called Epic.
It was epic, and my kids just did not go for it, and they would pretty much go for any animation.
Yeah.
Why am I saying that while you're here? I'm sorry, Judah. God.
Poor Judah.
Well, I do have one a TV show coming out in January on Fox Primetime. Seth MacFarlane, new animated show called Border Town.
Great.
I'm doing a voice on that, and that should be really good.
That will not suck. I promise you.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Judah Friedlander.
Sort of like an Archie Bunker kind of thing, that show. So.
We're up against a cold out. Is that what it's called in the business?
No,
a cold
hard out.
Or a hard out?
Hard out.
In our case, a cold out.
Cold out.
Yeah, we puckered out because... What? Puckered? I know.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. Let's get out of here.
Hold on, I'm watching you totally
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I think I'm having a stroke all of a sudden.
Did you mean we petered out?
Yeah, we...
petered out.
I meant to say petered out with Dennis Falcone.
We didn't pucker out. We pucker up after.
Judah Friedlander at Caroline's this weekend.
212-757-4100. I only knew Judah was here because Greg Charles was out. Greg looks like a puppet. He's an odd guy. But Greg Charles, that's how I knew Judah was in sway.
Might be the drinking.
Yeah.
He's turning into a marionette.
Yeah, Greg is an odd puppet man.
He's pickled pretty good at this point.
But a true soldier for comedy.
Oh, we love Greg Charles. I hope he takes it the right way.
Yes.
All right, Judith, thank you.
Hey, thank you
Come
guys.
back for a longer visit.
That'd be awesome, man. Definitely.
Falcone, enjoy the barbecues this weekend.
DennisFalcone.com if you need a mobile DJ for your party.
Attaboy, Dennis. Godspeed.
And Jim Norton, JimNorton.com for everything that's going on with him.
Yes, for all of your mediocre needs.
Yes.
Let's cross-promote next week so we can keep them listening across the weekend.
We're good.
Got any guests coming up next week you want to plug?
We got Sam Roberts at noon today on this channel.
The great Sam Roberts.
The great Sam Roberts at noon on this channel.
E-Rock.
And E-Rock later tonight. When is E-Rock on? 9 o'clock? 9 to 12, I think? 7 to 10? When is he on? 7 to 10. E-Rock show is doing very well. And up next, we got Accelerated. All right?
Yeah, but speaking of cross
Oh, my God. Hold on, Kenny. Yes.
How'd you do on Pete Dominic yesterday?
Oh,
yeah.
They're rerunning that tomorrow night, I think. Shit, I should have known the time.
Yeah.
Me and Ronnie did an hour with Pete Dominic. It was fun. We had a good time. It's a channel called Insight, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a good time with that. So I think we're replaying it on the channel sometime this weekend. All right, we got to go. Bye. See you. Yeah.